today, what we doing, I'm going to end up doing a real investigation on this Tupac case. You know, something that I was supposed to have done a long time ago. I was saying something about Snoop. What if Snoop done it a while back? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty. Because remember during the time that Tupac got killed, I was 20 years old. You know, he got killed in 96. You know, I was born in 76. So I remember it like yesterday. And a lot of details that came out is not the same details that's out right now. So you got people right now saying, you know, that Keefy D, he done it, he got something to do with it. And like I keep telling people, Keefy D is somebody running his mouth for clout. Keefy D is running his mouth for clout. All right, he ain't got nothing to do with, you know, the Tupac murder. Now, not saying that he's not involved in it, but I don't think that he was actually one of, you know, the persons in the car. He's trying to make money off writing a book, and you know, the whole Orlando Anderson thing. You know, it was kind of, you know what? This is what I say. Orlando Anderson, and, you know, I'm going to let you listen to live footage. But keep in mind, Orlando Anderson, he was there for what reason? He didn't have a ticket to the fight. Everybody know that. You know, so why is you hanging out at the casino if you're not gambling? You just in the lobby waiting to get your ass whooped. See, Orlando, a lot of people don't know, Orlando knew he was going to get whooped. He knew how much money he was supposed to get. That, like, I'm not going to give you, she'll get that man $60,000. That $60,000 was initially to get his ass whooped so they can come back and retaliate on Pac. They already had that shit set up. You know what I mean? And then if you look at it today, Keefy D and Suge Knight saying, like, free Keefy D, he not the shooter, this and that. You know what I mean? I think they're in cohesive with what was going on. You know, so I don't know, man. You listen to me. Okay, so what we gonna do is a dialogue. You know, this probably be the longest live that I ever done, but I'm gonna break it down. You know, so y'all bear with me. Y'all gonna listen to audio and go from there. Doing this, I will be, you know, narrating certain things as I see fit.
We have CSI today, Cold Case, NCSI, all of these crime scene investigation television shows that are on. And if I'm not mistaken, one of them takes place right here in Las Vegas. How amazing that Las Vegas themselves are not doing the same thing that the television shows are portraying, solving a murder case.
Occam, a 14th century teacher of logic, said, "All things being equal, the simplest solution tends to be the best one." In the case of Tupac, it turned out to be the truth. Stories of civil wars in the gang community, lone gunmen, and vengeance of a friend all make for great writing and drama. But in the case of Tupac, the simplest story fits all the elements.
I'm coming forward with the information because someone asked me, and I was willing to tell them what I knew. No one in the past has ever asked me anything about Tupac, even though when you look at the MTV Music Award tapes, and when you look at his whole last week, you'll see me there. I was there in Vegas when he was shot. I was one of the first people to the hospital, but I was never interviewed by anyone. So I'm just coming forth now to set the record straight. And some of the things that happened to Tupac, we need to check within death row before we start pointing the fingers at other people.
As I said, now keep in mind, when this interview was done right after Pac got shot. So it's still fresh. It's big news. Haven't been 3, 4, 5 weeks, months, or years. This is fresh, week and a half right after. So everybody is still living, everything is still intact. The dude that's talking is Michael Moore. You know what I mean? Michael Moore, okay. He's, I think, security guard, police officer, whatever, off duty or whatever. So he's telling it as it happened fresh. Not 27 years later, but fresh. And like he said then, and this was with the speculations back then, for y'all that wasn't born in 96 or couldn't remember this, but everything was circling around death row. Everything was saying it was a setup around death row. That changed over the years once Keefe D started talking, and people started like, oh, okay, family, we got some insight. But back then, you got to keep in mind, back then, nah, Keefe D and that would have been came out, and people try to use a certain situation to make it like this is the situation because this happened, and make it look so simple, and it's really not. It's really not. You know what I mean? Everything that was done was pretty much planned, and that came within Death Row Camp. And I'm gonna give y'all some, details that I know of that you're not gonna hear on the video, but it's come from a credible source.
Mike Allen is a former prosecuting attorney for Hamilton County, Ohio. He has also worked as a judge in the city of Cincinnati, an expert in the field of prosecution and witness testimony. Mike Allen has led one of the only successful prosecutions against the Roman Catholic Church for the molestation of children by priests.
It is somewhat perplexing as to why a conspiracy case was not presented to the grand jury, because again, keep in mind, the standard at the grand jury level is probable cause. It's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Now a homicide detective living in Warren County, Ohio, Lieutenant Jeff Braley is also a police officer. Lieutenant Braley's experience comes with the military and federal law enforcement. The elements of an assassination cannot be discussed with just anyone. Lieutenant Braley agreed to help explain the elements involved.
This type of planned killing has happened all over the world.
We're about to see the most amazing pictures ever made. The assassination of King Alexander of Yugoslavia. It's a gala day in Marseille. Vive Alexander! Vive le roi! Oh, they've been shot.
We see example, even on film sometimes. Some of our movies have even set up the same exact plan where you run a car on one side that creates a diversion, a shooter comes up on another side. It's happened all over the world. It's happened for so many years we can't count them. It's going to continue to happen in the future of this same type. But there's always so many specific elements to that plan, even though it almost looks normal, as the terminology used, garden variety. There's a lot of planning and intent that goes into that. It's an easy hit.
Kathy Scott, an investigative reporter, has been covering the ongoing Tupac investigation since the evening of the shooting. An accomplished writer, Kathy published her insight on the investigation in her book, The Killing of Tupac Shakur.
I covered crime in San Diego as a reporter and came to Las Vegas in 1993 as a police, politics first and then a police reporter. And was working for the Las Vegas Sun as a reporter, and when Tupac Shakur was shot, and he was shot on my watch.
My name's Napoleon, former member of the Outlaws, the Tupac Outlaws. I met Pac through Gaddafi, who was a half-brother of Pac, and me and Gaddafi, we was childhood friends.
The guy could grab an audience, and he was becoming a spokesman for the black community. The guy could go into a room and light it up. He's got a huge fan base, and he will forever. And I think people want answers.
I believe it was a planned killing. I don't believe that there's no way you could classify it as a random act of violence. You have all the elements in place that show that there was a plan there in place to eliminate this particular person.
They're pretty good dudes if they pick that.
Okay, so let's go back to what... Okay, so on the screen, it's a assassination rule. Rule number 1. Take out all communications. So once it happened, you can't contact nobody. I guess the shooter can get away. Rule number 2, take out all the weapons. Somebody do retaliate on you, you can't retaliate back. You can't call nobody out. You know what I mean? Like make phone calls. Number 3, set up escape and passage. That means have an escape route. Like, okay, once this do happen, have everything, just laid out. Like, okay, this is the route you taking to make sure all that is clear for a clean getaway. Number 4, give victim false sense of security. So, which means like, okay, we got all these people with me. We got 5 cars. We got all my homies in the back. We got my security. I'm good. So, knowing that, you still going to be shot and killed, and, see, this what happens today. You got guys out here, they be with all their homies. Okay, they be with all their homies, and they be feeling like, because I'm with 10, 15 dudes, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? If you kill one, you got to kill all, and that ain't usually what happens. When somebody starts shooting, if somebody shoot straight at you and you get shot, more than likely everybody gonna start running. And the dude that don't keep dumping in on you, and your homies gonna run for cover to run for their life. Then they'll come back after it's all said and done, after you land there dead. That's usually what happens in the real world. But people don't think like that. They think, man, we got here deep, man, 15, 20 of us. It ain't like somebody starts shooting, everybody just gonna start shooting back. Not saying that won't happen. But I'm just saying, once somebody open up, the first thing people gonna do, they gonna run for cover, to the closer clear, and they're able to retaliate back. By that time, you already done. Okay, so number 5 is say make shooting appear as a random act. Like, okay, something had just happened. It's a coincidence. These things happen. He jumped on the gang member, and you know what I'm saying, and the gang member came back and retaliated. Okay. And then number 6, eliminate the assassin/witness. So that way, can't nobody talk to say, well, this dude hired me to do this, or a witness who saw something that can say, this is the person. And in that case, you know what I'm saying, the witness or the assassin, like the people who end up getting killed, Frank Alexander, you know what I mean? Michael Moore, you got Gaddafi. It's a lot of people that end up getting killed, behind the Tupac murder. So those the assassination rules, and this come from military. Okay, this is planned, and everything that just happened was, was within these plans right here. So let's get back to it.
Active violent.
It was a random opportunity. They happened to be there, and that's how it worked out.
Yeah.
Detectives working for the Las Vegas Police Department when a call came in regarding a shooting.
That was a random opportunity. They happened to be there, and that's how it worked out.
And just coincidentally, some gunman sticks his arm out of a white Cadillac and shoots the biggest rapper in America. Why didn't they shoot anybody else?
Donnie Rath, retired LAPD investigator.
And see, that's the thing right there. At the time, remember, Tupac was the biggest rapper in America. You know what I mean? He just went, double, triple platinum with All His Eyes on Me, double CD. And like he said, if you was going to do that, if it was going to be a shooting, because remember, everybody jumped on them. When the gang members hit they target, they not just like, come on, man. I'm telling you because I'm a gang member, and I'm familiar with this process. If you're going to do a shooting on somebody, you're going to do the shooting on this person, but also who's ever with this person, because he saw your face, or you can retaliate. So if I'm gonna go shoot up, a person, which a friend of mine got killed on his birthday, and there was 2 guys in the car. And one guy got shot in the arm, but the other guy got shot like 15, 16 times. You know what I mean? It looked very funny. It looked very funny that if these dudes, and it was 2 dudes, one on each side, so why didn't you get killed? And that's just that answer, if it's an op that's shooting, he gonna clear the whole car and keep moving. That's how I know it to go. I don't know if somebody sparing somebody's life so they can retaliate or point fingers or testify. I don't know of that, so it definitely looked funny.
lives not far from the West Valley Division of the LAPD, where the first hints of the notorious LAPD Rampart scandal started. Erath was first.
All right, let me fast forward some of this stuff. Let me see.
He had an arrest record. He lived here for a few years and liked the town and came back and bought a place.
It's the summer of 1996. All Eyes on Me has reached quintuple platinum status. Tupac gets to...
My fault. I said triple platinum. 4 times platinum.
See his first #1 single. His next album, to be released in November of 96, is called Machiavelli, or The 7-Day Theory. It's recorded in a record 7 days. Tupac was considered by industry leaders to be at the top of his recording game, and with over 120 unreleased master tapes, who could argue?
The first time it was made aware to me that there was a problem with Tupac in Death Row was on the set of Gridlock. Yasmin, who was Yak Fula's mom, was Tupac's assistant. And she had called me that evening and said, I'm going to come down to the set. I need to talk to you and Kevin Hackey about some things that's going on with Pac in Death Row. She didn't go into any great details about anything. And she told us, basically, to step up our game and watch him.
Pac was going to start his own record label, Machiavelli Records, and I don't know if it was going to be distributed through Death Row Records or he was going to do it on his own, but it was a label that he was working on, and we was going to sign with that label, Machiavelli Records.
Keep in mind, now y'all listening, right? Y'all listening. Tupac was having problems with Death Row. Tupac was having problems with Death Row. Now, this is Napoleon talking. He's one of Tupac artists with the Outlaws. So Pac was talking to these. Pac told the Outlaws not to sign with Death Row because I'm gonna get my own label and sign y'all myself. This is what Pac told them. You can find everybody telling you this on interviews, but he didn't want them under the Death Row Act. Just like Biggie didn't put didn't really want to look him under Bad Boys. He was trying to sign Junior Mafia and look him under him and, do his own thing. You understand where we going? But there was a problem with Tupac as far as, him and Death Row early on. And Pac was trying to venture off and do his own thing. Okay. Just for the people who know the story, that's fine. For the people who don't know the story, I'm giving you details. Because Pac was my favorite rapper. So I do a lot of research, a lot of interviews, pretty much everything. I know a lot of things about Pac that y'all don't know. A lot of shit. I just don't talk about it. But yeah, he was going to leave Death Row, start his own company. And again, that was like, in my eyes, well, let's keep him around long enough to kill him, because it's a video out called, what's this video called? The Dark Side of the Music Industry. And it's 2 parts. You can look on YouTube and find it. And it tells you when these record labels, sign an artist, they also have an insurance policy. I don't know how much was. I think it's $20 million or something like that. $50 million, I'm not sure. But it's an insurance policy on these artists. So if something to happen to the artist in the event of being on the contract and the label haven't recovered their money, then, if something happened, they can claim insurance, and get their money worth. Money they done put in, they can actually get back off the artist because, they still need to be compensated. But let's get back to the video.
I got a call from Al Gittins. I was at home. I lived in Orange County. And Al Gittins says to me, hey, you need to get to the studio because Pac is trying to, take masters out of the studio. And Suge has told us that no one is to take masters from the studio anymore. He called me specifically knowing that I was Pac's bodyguard, saying, hey, you need to get down here. You need to talk to him. You need to calm him down. He's cussing. He's going off. He's going crazy.
And see, this is the first sign of a problem. Pac want to go down there. He got remember they said 120 masters unreleased. Keep that in mind. That shit go on off the roof once you dead. You got an artist, like look at King Von. You know what I'm saying? Since he died and all the little stuff he been making, look on YouTube. Look at the views on that. 30, 40, 50, 60 million views. You know what I mean? But when he was alive, he wasn't even getting that many views. He was at 60,000, 100,000 unless he collaborate with somebody. But now that he dead, 30, 40, 50 million. When the artist dead, they goes up in value. Like Michael Jackson, like Prince, like Whitney Houston. You know what I'm saying? Luther Vandross. You know, once you are dead, and then you got something that, like, keep in mind, when he died, he was at the top of his game. He was, what, 26? You know? When Pac died, he was at the top of the game. He was the number one in the world. So, of course, if he got 120, and that's how you got all them other albums coming out. All they did was put a beat with it and release the, like, you can get that shit to a DJ and the DJ make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Put a beat with it, instrumental beat with the acapella, and, you know what I'm saying? All that. You know, that can be done. So if Pac end up dying and you got all these masters unreleased, that's going to be worth millions of dollars. You know, keep that in mind. Let's remove ourselves from Keefe D right now in Orlando. Understand me? Remove that. Stay with me here, y'all. I'm giving you the mindset back in 96. I'm taking you back 27 years. I'm taking you back 27 years. All right? So he got 120 masters. That's unreleased. After he dropped Machiavelli. So that means he's not even on the Machiavelli. Like, he already got Machiavelli done. And which had, 17, 18, down to 20 songs on there somewhere. He already got that done. He got 120 more songs. So how many? So that's another, 10 records? Maybe 11, 12 records? You feel me? That's going to do what? Probably 30, 40 million each? Come on, man. It's a lot for a dead rapper. But who's going to profit off that? So I need y'all to stay with me now. Pac is down there trying to get his shit. They're not getting his shit. And, Pac, man, this is my shit. Like, motherfucker, this is I'm trying to do something. Y'all not letting me get my shit. He's pissed. So this is where the problem come in. This is where he's deciding to start his own record label. Because now it's like y'all trying to treat me. Stay with me, y'all.
Master tapes, the lifeblood of the music industry. From these original recordings, copies can be made for distribution. Master tapes are very important to an artist. Control of the master tapes means control of the revenue they generate. Tupac Shakur wanted his master tapes. If he had obtained them, it may have been trouble for Death Row Records.
Again, if he got them masters, trouble for Death Row Records. I need y'all to stay with me. Stay with me. It ain't about I'm jumping on somebody and I get shot and killed. Because even if that was the case, if that did happen in Randall Act, shit, that cop probably wouldn't got away. Hey, you want to pull up on 5 cars and shoot a motherfucker and keep going? Y'all, like, let's use our fucking head here. Because now people starting to, y'all starting to show how dumb y'all is. I'm into it with a motherfucker. I see this nigga out here. He hanging out with 10 of his homies. Yeah, I'm strapped. I'm finna come up here and shoot the shit out of him, not knowing if these other 10 dudes got guns, especially if he's hanging out with Bloods, a op gang, and these motherfuckers' blood been beating the shit out of motherfuckers. You just gonna pull up, shoot a motherfucker, and keep going, and ain't nobody gonna chase you or shoot back at you? You got that much balls? I don't think so.
Recent court documents from artists who have sued Death Row in the last few years speak of a trend of Death Row holding on to master tapes. Tupac knew what he needed if he were to break away. The problem for Death Row may have been that these tapes were mortgaged. We know that Death Row had money loaned to them from Interscope. If those tapes, whose value is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, were removed from Death Row, it may have led to a break in the relationship between Death Row and Interscope.
Now keep in mind, hundreds of millions back in the 90s is damn near close to $1 billion today. We talking the 90s. $100 million back in the 90s was a lot of fucking money. Remember, Big Meech was worth $100 million back in the 90s. You know what I'm talking about? In early 2000s. You know, I want to say 2000, late 90s, early 2000. You know, $100 million is a lot of money back in them days. So it's just like telling a motherfucker today, yeah, your shit is worth damn near 800 million, close to $1 billion. You know, you understand what I'm saying? I need y'all to stay with me. I need y'all to stay with me. And don't go off my theory, but we going off, you know, actual receipts. After this video, y'all can come up with whatever conclusions y'all want. I'm just giving you, you know what I'm saying, my logic on it.
Even if we consider the royalties to be earned a secret worth lying for, consider this. At the time of his death, attorneys for Shakur's estate claim there was over $13 million owed to artists like Shakur for work already done. Not just the singer, but the technicians, board operators, musicians, all owed money. And Death Row had not paid them.
It was before he went to New York that he was thinking about starting Machiavelli Records.
No promises made to be broken. I might get hit by a car and go to jail.
I'm not saying that.
Knight entrusted the protection of the artist to former and current police officers and fire department officials. Of course, not all of the police hired by Reggie Wright were model citizens. The arrests of David Mack and Rafael Perez showed a new level of corruption in the LA Police Department, and both were on Death Row's payroll. But not all of the bodyguards were corrupt, and surprisingly enough, not all of the bodyguards have been interviewed by Las Vegas police.
I started working with Right Way Security in September of 1995.
Yeah, I work with Right Way Security, not with Death Row Records, and Right Way was employed by Death Row Records.
96 is when I came on, I believe. It was either late 95, November, December, or early 96.
I started working for Death Row back in 1994 and later became a bodyguard.
Michael Moore was my replacement for Pac that weekend at the MTV Awards in New York.
I was mostly a fill-in when I was guarding, with Tupac. Personally, I didn't like him. I was in a limo, me and Tupac, Outlaw Immortals. We were driving around in Harlem, and the radio came on with Snoop Dogg saying that he had no beef with New York, which sent Pac into a rage. And we immediately spun the limo around, and we went back to the hotel to confront Snoop. We couldn't find him, but we found Mr. Knight. Tupac was displeased about what had happened, and Mr. Knight was very upset, and they got to yelling at each other back and forth. They confronted each other, basically to a face-to-face. I did slide in between them and said, hey, we can't do this while I'm here, or I am going to have to step out of the room. Normally, I am asked in every situation that I can remember while working with Death Row, when there was altercations, fights, where some type of discipline was going to be passed out during Death Row, I'm usually asked to step outside the room. But on this occasion, I think Mr. Knight had me stay for the safety of Tupac. I mean, that's the reason I was there, because I think Mr. Knight, with me not being there, he would have put his hands on him. He was that upset.
They're going to be a great witness because most of people in that position, they've been trained in that area. They have knowledge of safety procedures to keep someone safe, and they have a lot of good gut feelings about what could go wrong.
And Pac's words were, I'm gonna cut out Machiavelli, and when I cut out Machiavelli, I'm the hell up out of here. You got your money. I don't want nothing else to do with Death Row. I'm out. That's how we left that day.
And see, this is coming from somebody that was in the room. Somebody was in the room, a witness who's now dead. This is his telling us what happened. Michael Moore, he was there when Tupac and Suge got to arguing. So the whole thing was, okay, fuck it, it's cool. You got all eyes on me. You know, because remember, Tupac wanted to leave, and they like, no, nigga, you still owe money. You can't go nowhere. You owed us this and that. Okay, fuck it. I'm going to throw you Machiavelli. You'll get your money off Machiavelli. You got your money off All Eyes on Me, and I'm done. Because I think it's supposed to have been a 2-3 album deal and whatever else, But now they start trying to put, well, yeah, not only that, you owe this. You remember they charged Tupac with everything as far as They charged Tupac with everything Death Row was doing. So she'll go out and he go to a hotel and, lay up with a female. That came on Tupac bill. Order a steak dinner. Tupac got bill for it. And that's what Afena, was brought up when she did her lawsuit. And mysteriously, when she got her money, she ended up dead several years later. Like, come on, y'all. Like, it's not a coincidence. Biggie Mama not dead. But I need y'all to stay with me. All right? So, yeah, Tupac and Suge was arguing. See, Tupac was the type of dude, he wasn't really scared of Suge. A lot of people are scared of Suge, but let me tell you something. Like, it can be a motherfucker that everybody's scared of. He the big bad wolf. Let's say Mike, you know what I'm saying? Like, it can be a motherfucker like Mike Tyson. Motherfucker, you scared of him because you see what he do. But if you hanging under Mike Tyson every day and you become real good friends with him, you know what I'm talking about? You're not as intimidated by him that somebody that don't know him that would be. So, y'all going to get into arguments and this and that. Nigga, I'll beat your ass. And like, nigga, what up? You know what I'm saying? Because now, you see him in a different light than everybody else. You understand what I'm saying? So, you're not going to be as scared of him as a person who, damn, he be knocking niggas out. I ain't fucking with him. He don't know me. He'll fuck around and kill me. See, Tupac wasn't scared of Suge. He wasn't scared of Suge. And this is the argument. I'm not sure if this is an argument, but I heard that there was an argument that happened, a heated argument that happened in New York, and he said it was in. I don't want to quote it wrong, but there was an argument between Tupac and Suge, to where Tupac saying he was gonna head out. This could be the argument that I was talking about, but this is right here is kind of the start of a plot in my ass. And you just heard the man say the master was loaned out. If Tupac get his masters, because Tupac could have found out, and he head out, then guess what happens after that? Death Row is pretty much bankrupt. So everything they had was riding on Tupac. And keep in mind, it took Suge a while to get Death Row. You know what I mean? He was doing some strong shit for Eazy-E, doing some shit with Bobby Brown. You know what I mean? He was all over the place. You know what I'm talking about? On some strong shit and doing body, because I think he did some shit with Bobby Brown. Somebody was trying to fuck Bobby Brown up because Bobby Brown had got some money that he owed, that he off some drugs, and motherfucker looking to, pop his ass. And I think he hired Suge now. Then he came out under the Dre and got Eazy from under that. So, that was his reputation, back in the day. So everybody's already scared of him. He had a reputation, but Pop wasn't scared of him. Pop wasn't scared of him. Like, oh man, he cool, he a bit teddy bear, this and that, Let's move forward, y'all.
All kinds of alleged baggage involved as far as Tupac wanting to leave Death Row Records.
And he was screaming Machiavelli at the top of his lungs.
That bodyguard that was pulled off is prime to the investigation. Not only the reasons for them being pulled off, but what led up to their being pulled off and what information days prior they were privy to. You don't discount that information.
And at the time in New York, I think we had just finished doing MTV, and he had to come back to LA, I think, to do a video. And he didn't want it to go because he was uneasy about going. He said he didn't want it to go.
So they was in New York. So that's the argument that Suge and Tupac had that was in New York. Okay, so that is the argument to where he said it got real heated, and Tupac he getting the fuck up out of there. So this is that.
Because he had told us that he was not going there with, his words, them sellout niggas.
I was told by another one of our security guards that was a bodyguard that he had escorted Pac to the airplane as they were leaving New York. And Tupac specifically told him that he was a dead man walking.
The last thing he said to me prior to leaving was, he's not going to be in Vegas. I don't have to worry about him showing up. And don't worry about it because he won't be there.
He didn't feel like he didn't want to go to Vegas. I don't even think he wanted to do the video.
Keep in mind, these whole Tupac bodyguards. Tupac had like 5-6 bodyguards. He's talking to these people. Person, you know, you walking with a person, you want to talk to her like, man, you ain't got to worry about it. I ain't finna be out there like, you know what I'm saying? I get mad at my boss and I tell one of the co-workers that took me home or something, I'm like, bro, man, that's some bullshit, you know, because something happened at the job with me to where me and my boss had some words, you know, and she just kind of pissed me off, and I was telling her, you know, the police took my car this day. And so I'm in the car. He took me home. It's late at night, 3. And I'm like, man, you know, we just had a conversation. I'm like, man, yeah, bro. Like, man, you know, what happened there? I don't know what about it. Some bullshit, bro. You know, because this was one of the security guards. And I'm like, yeah, this some bullshit, bro, though. You ain't got to worry about it, though, because I'm going to be the fuck up out of here, you know what I'm saying, real soon. And he like, where you going? I said, I don't know. I got a couple of looks downtown, man, or, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to go hit a couple more clubs up, you know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't really got to take this shit, some bullshit. He like, oh, man, well, you know, you make sure you leave me your information. I know this motherfucker went back and told, you know, but I'm just speaking in, you know, that shit like this does happen. When a motherfucker have a big argument, usually you go holler at another person or a party that's within the camp, you know what I mean, just, you know, talking. And sometimes that will get back to, you know, the party that, you know, you had an altercation with. So I want y'all to stay with me here. You know what I'm saying? It's a big argument. Pac, again, you hearing these from his day one bodyguards. He don't want to go to Vegas. Don't worry about it. And anyway, Pac had some shit going on with the family that he wasn't going to be in Vegas. He didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? So they had to make sure Pac was in Vegas because it was a planned attack already. Understand me. This is the interview leading up to after the murder. So stop listening to what you hear now, 30 years later. Shit been filtered and rearranged. Let's go back to when it just happened.
I think Tupac wanted to leave, and I don't think Death Row wanted him to go.
Say that again.
He didn't feel like he didn't want to go to Vegas. I don't even think he wanted to do the video.
I think Tupac wanted to leave, and I don't think Death Row wanted him to go.
Tupac was to attend the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight.
I arrived at Las Vegas the day before Pac did on a Friday.
September 6th, 1996.
He did not want to go to Vegas. Matter of fact, he fought off going to Vegas all the way to the last second. And when I got there, I was surprised to see him there. We met at an attorney's house.
George Kalisis.
George Kalisis was the attorney for Club 662. Kalisis was a prominent attorney in Las Vegas, known for Clark County judges who owed him money. In fact, several cases that were represented by Kalisis's firm were awarded favorable decisions, and at no time did the judges make it known that they were in literal debt to Kalisis. And on the subject of not knowing, it was a common conception that Knight owned Club 662 when he did not. Like many of the death row legends, this is also a lie.
Reggie asked me to ride with him to the meeting. I was actually going to ride with Michael Moore. He began to tell me about how he was upset at Kevin Hackey, and that Kevin Hackey had my Nextel two-way cell phone radio that should have been given to me when I arrived in Vegas.
It's huge. You know, one of the things you'll see throughout history, even in a military assassination, is the fact that, let's take out communications. The same is true in an assassination, in the elimination of a single person. Let's make sure that they can't call for help. Let's make sure that they can't communicate with each other. If they're in trouble, why would we want them to be able to tell anyone what's actually going on?
Ask somebody Chinese, if you're watching this tape, don't just say 2 egg rolls to go with hot sauce. Is that what you say? Niggas ain't Chinese, get Chinese letters like they been somewhere and shit. You ain't ever let them block, nigga.
Let's isolate them, keep them away from their protection, take away their communication back to whoever can help them, isolate that victim. You're going to have a more successful mission.
One cannot ignore the ability to communicate. We're in an instant communication era. And for a detective to ignore the possibility is, in my mind, ridiculous.
George Calisis called the meeting at the behest of Reggie Wright Jr. All of the bodyguards were there.
Never before had we had a meeting at an attorney's office or with an attorney even present.
Reggie Wright told us not to carry any weapons. Never have they told me to leave my weapons, either in my room or my car.
So they were asking us to guard Pac and Suge and everyone else completely unarmed. We had never been told to leave our weapons.
For an attorney to do that, I don't know why.
We had a meeting at Club 662, a security meeting, because for security we had on any given weekend that we were going to be in Las Vegas with all of the artists, and when they were going to be performing or we were going to be at a fight, there would be 23 security members from Right Way Security. So now I'm in a situation where I'm being asked to guard Pac without any weapons or a phone.
Since I wasn't there to know what was said, I don't know what the reason was for it.
If you cannot defend yourself, you're going to be an easier target for me. If you're my intended victim and you carry a gun, I have to plan completely differently than if you did not. So if I can get you to be unaware of the danger, if I can get you not to carry the gun or have any personnel with you that are armed, you're that much of an easier victim and an easier hit. That's a great part of the plan if you could accomplish that, to get rid of any firearms, because as the hitter, as the shooter, as the planner, you're protecting yourself.
It was a special meeting. He was called in to be at his office on a Saturday to meet with all of us.
Why would I leave my weapons in a vehicle or in the hotel room and I'm personally guarding Pac in one of the most hottest places to be? And what that's going to make it is a bodyguarding incident where you would be, only thing you would have on you is your person.
And Michael Moore made the, biggest, hoorah about the weapons.
I informed Reggie that I wasn't taking my weapon off for no one. My gun did not belong to Right Way. It was my personal gun, and I was going to carry it, and that's what I did.
Now, see, keep in mind, Michael Moore wasn't going. He like, yeah, nigga, it's my gun. I'm not taking my gun off. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to hold on to my gun. And then they took Michael Moore off Tupac and put him at the club. And he was like, for what reason? He said, because I fucking said so. So this the whole thing. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. They knew Pop was going to get hit that night. So while Reggie doing these interviews on Bomb First, while he's doing all these interviews on Bomb First, keep in mind, you know what I'm saying, his ass should be arrested too, right along with Keefe D, because his ass was also involved in this shit. He knew it, I know it, Keefe D knew it, should know it, and it's like, like Pop said on Juice, them motherfuckers don't give a fuck who shot who. If I go down, you go down. Them Pop's word himself. So, of course, they got to keep that shit within, the camp. Because if one go down, the other go down. So Keefe D just ran his mouth. And he got caught in some shit that's really, you know what I'm saying, I personally don't think he's involved in that, because these coming from Tupac security guards, they telling you what's going on back then. You know what I'm talking about? Look how suspicious is Death Row acting. We already know Pac. We already broke down to what was going on with Pac, one of his masters. How him and Suge got into the argument, you know what I'm saying, over the Snoop shit, talking this and that. How he already threatened to leave Death Row. I'm going to give you Machiavelli, I'm done, that's it. He don't want to go to Vegas. Just, come on, y'all. Just listen, man.
Metropolitan Police in Las Vegas were on Suge Knight's payroll that night, moonlighting. And I would think that those guys who were hired by Suge and were with him that night would have been interviewed by the police. But, I mean, maybe they know something. Everywhere you went, there was like this tightness that nobody wanted to. It was almost like people were afraid to talk about the case. I mean, there was a weird sort of ring around the investigation that was tough to penetrate.
I don't own, and none of the other bodyguards own, the security company. So when you're given a directive to do something, you have to follow it. And if you don't, possibly it could have, cost you your job. So if Reggie owns the security company and he tells us what we need to do, then we need to do it.
I think maybe Pac became a little bit bigger on security once he fell in love with Frank Alexander.
If I tell, like, Frankie to call you and then
Frankie, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Frankie? Yeah, tell Frankie to call me. Frankie, you call me when she tells you to call me Frankie.
Why? What's that?
Frankie goes to Hollywood. Hey, yo, Frankie. Frankie. Yo, Frankie.
What did he call this for?
What? Y'all call him Frankie?
Nah, we gonna call him Frankie.
Only our family call us that. Call me
that shit forever now.
What y'all call him?
Frankie. Now we call him Frankie. Yo, Frankie. We got him, y'all. Frankie Knuckles. Frankie Knuckles up in this mother.
Frankie Knuckles from Chicago, baby. Frankie Knuckles from Chicago.
Frank. But now the E sounds real extra, because Frank a little extra sexy and too sexy for some sleeves.
Earlier that evening, after the meeting at the attorney's office, Reggie said, "Hey, Pac is back at the Lexor. I'm going to go drop you off, go meet up with him." So he dropped me off. I saw Pac and all of the outlaws and went over, hugged him, greeted him and everything. And, Pac said, "Hey, Big Frank, how was your vacation, man?" I was like, "It's cool, man, So he had been gambling. He was actually shooting craps at the Lexor.
We had a dinner meeting, make that a lunch meeting. And thank God it's Fridays, I believe. In Las Vegas prior to the fight starting, and I was told that I'd be taken off Tupac's shirt. You put Tupac at risk when you remove one bodyguard and say, "Hey Frank, you handle him." So for most of the day, all this went on, and Tupac did not have a clue that's what we were doing. I was a little upset that I was taken off of him, and I got into a little argument with Reggie Wright at lunch over it. He said, "Mike, I'm putting Frank back on him, and I'm taking you back off." And I said, "Reggie, that part doesn't make sense. Why not leave me and Frank on Tupac?" And he said, "Michael Moore, do what you're told. I'm going to put you at Club 662, and you're going to handle the security along with Al Giddens at the club."
And, Pac is Pac. He said, "Hey, let's go." And we go, "Where are we going?" He goes, "We're going to go over to the MGM." And I'm like, "Well, are we going to get a cab or how are we going to get over there?" He goes, No, we're going to walk over there.
It's plenty of times he was alone without a bodyguard. We walked in the malls without bodyguards. Pac was that type of guy, He wasn't always relying on a bodyguard. He wasn't like that.
I think the reason they removed me from Tupac is because I was one of the few people that wouldn't buy into not carrying your weapon.
Exactly.
And during no part of that day did I take my weapon off. And Mr. Wright knew that. So they removed me off Tupac so there wouldn't be a weapon there.
So Michael Moore, myself, and all of the outlaws with Tupac walked from the Lexor to the MGM.
During our conversation on the way back from the MGM Grand, I explained to Tupac that Mr. Wright was taking me off of him earlier that day. He was a little upset. He made a couple phone calls.
We get to the MGM. Again, he goes to a crap table. And the MGM was a little bit, more crowded that evening while he was gambling. He was gambling. He was, winning. He was doing good. And Pac said to me, "Go over, call Reggie, and find out what time Suge wants to meet to go into the fight." Tupac asked me to go make the call. I didn't have a radio. I couldn't contact Reggie, so I had to go to a landline phone. So I go to call. As I went to call on a landline phone, I came back to the table, and they were all gone.
During our conversation on the way back from the MGM Grand, I explained to Tupac that Mr. Wright was taking me off of him earlier that day. And I walked him all the way to his room.
So I'm walking all over the MGM looking for him before I could even realize he isn't even in the building.
And I explained he's a real impatient person. I walked him to his room, and my understanding was he was supposed to wait there until other security got to him.
I get back over to the Lexor, and I'm looking all around for him. I'm on his phone, calling, trying to find him, and Pac walks up behind me. I'm like, Pop, where you been, man? I'm looking all over for you guys over at the MGM. He was like, oh, we walked back over here. I was ready to go.
So I went to my room, and that was actually the last. I didn't have no knowledge he was downstairs in the lobby until Frank Alexander called me and said, hey, Mike, why is Tupac down here? And I even believe on the phone, I explained to Frank, even then, I am not on Tupac. I kept trying to say that the only person that was assigned to Tupac at that time was Frank Alexander. We had an issue with our clothes. Me and Frank had on short pants that day. We needed to change our clothes to get into the right clothes for the fight. But there was some problems there because with me not really being on Tupac, the person who really needed to change his clothes was Frank.
So I called Michael Moore on the house phone and said, hey, get back down here because Pac is, getting ready to want to, take off and everything. And he's upset about Reggie. Have you talked to Reggie?
So we let Frank go change his clothes while I waited. Then Frank changed his clothes, came back and picked up on Pac, and then I went back to my room. To this day, I believe that Tupac was under the impression that I was going to be going to the MGM Grand with him. But that wasn't the case. When I went to my room, I knew in my heart I wasn't coming back because I had been instructed to go to Club 662, and that's what I did. He got a little upset because now that I think back on it, he said he's paying for this shit and that he is telling us where we're going. I remember him saying that real loud that day in the lobby, that I'm paying for you, you go where I say go. And then I said, Frank, you need to make a phone call to Reggie.
And Pac said, Michael, come over to the MGM and meet us over there.
Tupac even called Reggie and had Frank get in touch with Reggie to find out where Michael Moore was at. So the problem was festering, and I knew something wasn't right. So when I went to my hotel room, I told Tim Williams, something is not right here, Tim. What we have to do is find out what's going on. So I said, let me go downstairs, and I'll change clothes, and I'll work with Tupac until Reggie says something. Tim said, Mike, don't do it. He goes, you're going to piss Reggie off. Don't do it. I go, Tim, Frank's going to need some help. He said, don't do it. Just get dressed and go to the club. I think Frank had no idea that I received them 4 phone calls prior to Tupac getting killed.
While we were at the MGM out in the arena right there waiting to go in, I had the regular security escort us behind the line.
3 of the phone calls came from Mr. Wright, and 1 phone call came from Al Giddens, who was also head of 662 security. And I asked him, I go, Al, why are you calling my room at 10 after 8 if I'm not supposed to be there at 10? And his answer was, Reggie just called me and told me to call you. I said, well, don't call me no more. And then after that, all my phone calls came directly from Mr. Wright.
People saw Pac, they were, Tupac, that's Tupac, and we're waiting for Michael Moore to show up. At that point in time, I had lost all communication with Michael Moore. I didn't know whether he was coming, what was going on, or anything.
I think there was a reason for that. And I think the reason was making sure that no one carried a weapon.
Pac was real antsy. He was like, where's Suge at? Where's Suge? Where comes Suge in here? He's looking at the time and stuff, and it's getting closer for the fight to start at this point. People are going in.
Well, we got down to the MGM, right in the front of it, right where the fight was at, and I was getting ready to get out of the car. I rode with Tim Williams over there. He goes, Mike, what are you doing? I said, Tim, I should just get out. Because if Reggie yells at me and I'm covering Tupac, how bad can that be? Well, at the last second, I decided to just stay in the car. I went to Club 662.
Tupac and Alexander are alone in a crowd with no radio or weapon.
I think this needs to be let out. To me, that's the beginning of our downfall.
Suge got there with a couple of people that was with him, whoever it was that had the tickets, and we went in to the fight right as the national anthem was playing.
Tupac was to attend the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight, Vegas's 22nd highest earning fight of all time. The Tyson fight ended in 109 seconds. Tyson won by a knockout.
Again, when we talk about the shooters and everything else, you're going to talk about the defense of the shooter to escape after the hit. Now, that defense of that shooter doesn't take place just when the hit occurs. It takes place afterwards, too. And if I can shift blame to someone else, put someone else in a place where they look like they had motive and they had opportunity to make this hit, and it takes the blame off of me, that adds to my defense.
In April of 1996, I got a phone call from Reggie one day, and he was telling me that Trevon, one of the homeboys that hung around the studio, was one of Suge's guys, is what I call him, got into a altercation in the Lakewood Mall in California. And it was at a Foot Locker store. And he went into this Foot Locker. Orlando Anderson was in there, and Death Row people from Death Row, the artists and all of the homeboy securities, whatever you want to call them, they wore this Death Row emblem of the guy in the electric chair. Everybody knows the emblem. Orlando Anderson went up to Trevon and snatched off his emblem, his chain, and they got into this fight into the Lakewood Mall. They tore up this Foot Locker, where the store that they were in. One thing led to another. Ironically, in September, Orlando Anderson is the gentleman that Tupac got into the altercation with at the MGM.
Orlando Anderson is leaning up at a wall watching people come out of the fight. And this is near the food court. And the bank of elevators is where this happened. And then you walk to the lobby, through the casino a bit, and then to the lobby. And it always struck me as that whole thing struck me as odd. And they let him go. He did not have a ticket to the fight. He did tell people at one point and told the police that he had a ticket, but he didn't have a ticket. He did not attend the fight. He's from Compton. He had no reason to be in Las Vegas.
Right. Trevon whispered into Tupac's ear right after we walked.
And see, that's what I was saying right there. He did not have a ticket. He lied, said he had a ticket, but he didn't. Because when he got stumped, they're like, well, what, do you have a ticket? Why are you here? The police going to ask questions. He's like, yeah, I got a ticket. Well, can I see it? He didn't have a ticket. He's from Compton. And so you have to understand, like, why in the fuck is you from driving for Compton, which is about an hour or 2, 3 hours? I'm not sure. I think it's 3-4 hour drive. Why is you just here hanging out if you don't have a ticket? It's just like me just going somewhere, hanging out 4-5 hours, somewhere just hanging with no purpose. You're not there with a female or nothing like that. You just hanging out. I'm going to tell you something, though. Orlando was put there for a reason. He was there to get stumped. Okay? So the $60,000 that Suge gave him, that was the money he was going to get for getting his ass whooped in order for the retaliations to come back. See, that shit been playing. You know what I'm saying? Remember, Suge and Pac already had bad blood. So it's been on some fake shit. Pac probably was acting funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? This nigga a bitch. You know what I'm saying? He trying to run me. He trying to do this. They, I'm sure they had plenty of arguments or disagreements and shit. And it just got to the point to where, what do we got to go? So the $60,000 that Suge paid Orlando Anderson, like, as far, because he got to show up at the court thing. You know what I'm talking about? He didn't just get $60,000 to show up in court to say he didn't do it. That's not the whole story. You know what I'm saying? He did that because he was getting $60,000 anyway. Like, hey, bro, I need to come up to court to say that. I know the shit was on film. I'm not giving you $60,000 just for you to tell the judge that I wasn't there to stump you. You know what I'm talking about? When it's clearly on tape. So the $60,000 that Suge pay Orlando was the $60,000 for him getting his ass whooped at the casino. A lot of people, that went over a lot of people's head. If I'm gonna pay you just not to show up, at court, it's not gonna be $60,000. Motherfucker, for that shit, motherfucker like, man, bro, I give you like $5,000. You know what I'm saying? 10 at the most. $60,000? That's a big number. Just to say you didn't do that. You know what I mean? So the money was a little more than just and again, Suge didn't. I don't think he was gonna get prosecuted or caught for that. So happens he did, and he just needed Orlando Anderson to try to get him out the jail. But the money was pretty much payment for him getting his ass whooped for the setup to happen. Because remember, Suge driving, he had everything in place. Everybody played their part. Reggie
Compton had no reason to be in Las Vegas.
Trayvon whispered into Tupac's ear right after we walked out of the Mike Tyson fight. And Pac took off running. I took off running behind him. The rest of the entourage ran behind us.
Maybe that was a setup. I mean, he was standing there waiting and waiting for somebody. And then Tupac shows up and they start exchanging words with his entourage and everybody else. And they start stomping and yelling and doing their silly things. But it was odd that, I keep saying odd, but the whole thing is odd.
And that's where the altercation, the fight broke out between Tupac and Orlando Anderson.
I think Orlando Anderson's, the beating doesn't make sense. I mean, he was kicked and stomped a little bit, and police didn't do anything. They didn't even take him downstairs. The police didn't or security take Orlando downstairs, at the MGM to talk to him about that beating. He just said no, he didn't want to press charges, and they sent him on his merry way.
Now, I never knew who Orlando Anderson was. It's just kind of, funny, ironic, whatever you want to call it, that from April to September, why would Reggie have told me about Trayvon getting into this fight at the Foot Locker in Lakewood Mall with Orlando Anderson? And here we are, a few months later, Pac gets into the same fight with Orlando Anderson at the MGM, and then everything just went from there.
Detective Tim Brennan of the Compton Police Department was the first to bring Orlando Anderson's name to the front of the assassination. This affidavit, in support of a search warrant, specifies that Anderson was the likely shooter of Shakur. The shooting was in retaliation for the beating of Anderson at the MGM earlier that evening. Anderson's beating was, in turn, alleged payback for the Lakewood Mall fight that Reggie Wright told Alexander about sometime earlier.
And
again, nobody could confirm that the shit happened at the mall. Nobody could confirm that. You know what I'm talking about? That's hearsay. You know what I mean? Because again, he said he didn't have no recognition about it. This is Tupac, number one bodyguard. He said he don't know nothing about it. So why wouldn't he know about it? I mean, if something happened within your camp and another camp, I mean, everybody going to be aware. I'm telling you from, because out of started game banking in 93, 94, so if anything happened with a rival game or op, you're going to know about it. Everybody going to know about it. You know what I mean? Like, the word going to spread. Back in them days, the word definitely going to spread. So if something like that happened to where a death row chain got took, by a crip, people's going to be on alert. But like he said, he never knew about that until maybe that night or something like that. Again, Reggie be lying so much. If you watch Bond first, he lied through a lot of his interviews. And, he sounds so believable, but come on, man. Like, this is coming from, the horse's mouth, that how much involvement that he had in it. But make sure he taking them guns away and yelling at a motherfucker, talking about you not on pot because I'm not going to remove my guns away. Now, you go to 662, like, who don't want that type of security with them? Like, I'm going out, me and my homies, we going out, to a club, and, it's 15 of us, and I'm going to make sure don't nobody got no gun. Like, come on now. It's always going to be guns, and this has always been a situation when it's a large group of people. Somebody always going to have a gun. But today, you make sure nobody have a gun. A special meeting, at attorney's office, to make sure that nobody carry their gun. And a man that is going to carry his gun, then you not on pot. We're going to put you at the club then. Like, come on, man. Knowing that Pac can never make it to the club. But let's move forward.
Everything just went from there.
Planned out. I'm sure there were variations, but yeah, Orlando Anderson looks a little staged. It looks a little planned out. It all looks as if they were trying to find a killer they could point out afterward.
Brennan testifies Trayvon is the person making the clearest and first claim that Anderson was the shooter. Trayvon is said to be telling people within hours of the shooting that Orlando Anderson is the one who shot Tupac. This is the same Trayvon who had the fight with Anderson in Lakewood, and the same one who instigated the fight at the MGM.
All right, and good. Like, how could he know who the shooter was when he wasn't in the car? Only person who was in the car with Suge was who? Suge and Pac. So if how can Trey know who the fucking shooter was if you wasn't in the car, bro? You know, like, come on, man. Let's be for real. Let's call the striker striking the ball. How would you know, bro? Only person probably seen them shooters was Suge and Pac. Because in that case, why nobody else saw the shooter? The car in front or on the side? Because remember, Mr. Car on the side of Pac. They had the windows down because it was, summertime and Vegas was hot. So they had the windows down. So even the car that was on the side of should have saw the shooter. You know what I'm saying? So somebody else saw the shooter, which Gaddafi saw the shooter. He said he saw the shooter and he ended up dead. So let's just let that ring in your head.
If Trayvon's statement was to be believed by Brennan's affidavit, enough to justify the documentation of it, did Trayvon actually see Anderson in the car?
No.
The only way for Trayvon to have known that fact would have been to see the face of the shooter. So why wasn't he identified to police as an eyewitness? Whatever the case, in the face of the mounting physical evidence collected by Compton police, Anderson is not charged. Was Orlando Anderson a patsy? He can't tell us. He was killed 2 years later, claiming his innocence to the death. Later, it's learned that Trayvon was in the car that pinned Tupac's car from the left side on the street, blocking any escape when the shooting occurred.
Keep in mind, so now this dude Trayvon, okay, it's a car in front of Pac. On the left side is Trayvon's car. That way Suge and them can't get out. And then it's a car that pulled up behind the BMW. Okay, then it's a car that pulled on the side. So if you see the diagram, once that car pulled up and starts shooting, the car that's in front is supposed to be able to cut them off. And the car that's behind them is supposed to cut them off. There won't be no way that car should have been able to get out on a clean slate that night. You know what I mean? It was no race, not with all them cars. It just seemed too stupid. That's all. Like, if anybody got any sense, like, come on, like, use your third eye.
They're setting someone else to take up the blame for their action. That's also a very ingenious part of the plan to be able to do that, is the fact that now not only can I take out my intended victim, but I can make it look like somebody else had the same motive and opportunity to do the same act.
And why go to all that trouble to stage this kind of event? Certainly Anderson could have been dealt with more discreetly. Knight went to prison over a beating, a parole violation. But in the poker game of crime, 9 years beats life. It also plays towards setting up the final alibi and cover story.
Once again, we're going back to an element of the planning. Where are they going to be? Where are you going to plan your hit? Now, you're going to look for an optimum target. I mean, you're going to look for the perfect place, and you're going to make sure that that victim travels across that place. You're not going to want it to be where there's just throngs of public or cars or where you can't get close or things such that. You're going to want it maybe to be a little bit more isolated, or you're going to want it to not be an exact place to give you maximum exposure for a shot. You're going to want them to be a target, not a hidden target, a target. And if you can get them to a spot or crossing a path where you already have people in place, your plan's going to fall into place, so to speak, and you're going to have that shot availability to you.
Keep in mind, where the actual shooting happened isn't as full of pedestrian traffic as it would be out on the strip. The shooting happened off the strip. A lot of people think it was right on the main drag, and it wasn't. And you don't have the foot traffic where this happened that you do where people cruise.
The strip is going to be crazy, but it's actually stop and go. You can't go fast on the strip on a Saturday fight night.
Correct.
So you're going to hit the strip from the backside. coming up near Mandela Bay from the south end and driving up that way. You hang a right on Koval, and boom, you're about out of hell and gone and off the radar. I mean, that street, actually, Koval Lane, is dark at night.
You've got to know where they're at, where they're going to be, who they're going to be surrounded by. You're going to have a way to get that type of information. An innocent individual that comes in to protect someone, and he's totally set up. His communications are denied, his weapons are denied. Frank was set up.
We went to Suge Knight's home first. Suge changed clothes. After that, we're driving back from where he lived at in Green Valley in Las Vegas. We're going down Las Vegas Boulevard.
Another crucial part of your planning is going to be whether or not your victim is aware that he's in danger. If your victim is aware that he's in danger, he's going to make sure that his defense perimeter is there, that his defense is in place. If he's not aware that he's in danger, his guard's going to be let down a little.
As we're going down the strip, just before we got to Tropicana, a couple of bicycle cops stopped Suge. He opened up his trunk, and there was nothing in there. It was a brand new car. He got back in the car. We proceeded to go down to Flamingo. We turned right on Flamingo. As we turned right and we're sitting at the light on Flamingo and Koval, the white Cadillac then pulled up and the arm came out and fired the rounds from the back of the BMW into the side of the BMW, hitting Tupac.
Well, looking at the diagram and considering that we have a stoplight and we have an entourage, which is not good for security. I would say that if this car were not in the lead car, that would still give the middle car an avenue of escape. Then you have the car with the person in it, and then you have their backup. What also I see is this car in the left-hand turn lane, or to the left of the entourage.
Obviously, there was talk about 4 young ladies in a car that were talked to. Again, they were evasive. They didn't want to say anything much at the time.
This appears to be blocking the middle car from pulling over in case of emergency or case of accident. But I'll tell you what, this happens all the time in the Middle East, and this is typical of your assassinations in Colombia, your assassinations in some other countries, to where the car targeted is blocked in from going left because the other car that pulls up to the right completes the quadrant, completes the silhouette of blocking the middle car in. There's no place for the middle car to go. The middle car is blocked in by the lead car, is blocked in by the car to the left, and is finally blocked in by the right car, which appears to be the shooter in this incident.
When I saw the white Cadillac pulling up to Tupac and Suge, it was no different than any other car that was going to come up to a red light and, stop. Only thing different about the Cadillac pulling up is that I noticed that it was getting a little bit closer to the car. No alarm, because there was, other cars pulling up to him and, the groupie kind of situation.
It's obvious that its intent is to block the middle car from going forward, this car from left, and then finally the shooter to the right. It was sitting duck.
The arm came out, fired into the BMW, and myself and the 3 outlaws that was in the car with me, we are just in awe. And it looked as if everything was in slow motion. As clear as me sitting here right now talking about it, my memory will always remember. And the way I visioned it was in slow motion, even still now.
While I was working at 662, I heard something over the Nextels that we all carry for security. And what I heard was, got him.
No, that's news to me. The only phones I know of, I think, are all through AT&T.
These radios that we keep talking about, the Nextel telephones, two-way radios, they had pretty much just come into play, because originally all we had were the regular radios, just the radio itself, and probably closer to around the time of us coming out to Las Vegas, around the time frame of Pac being killed, I would say that those Nextel phone radios had just come into play for right-way security. There was only, it's a guess, there was probably only 4 or 5 of them. Okay, but it was enough to go around to the people that mattered that should have had them.
Again, back in them days, Nextel had the the phone. I had the 930 phone, a 720 and a 890. They had different brands. I think they had like a 720. I know they had a 930. That's the one, the black one, the one that I really liked it, And then they had a blue one that was called these Nextel phones. I think the blue was like a 830, 840, or 870. And then they had, the Boost came out with shit. Boost started coming out with the, we call it the chirp phone, you know what I mean? And, people used to, instead of, was nobody making phone calls. You just come through, you'll hit the side button, beep, and then you just come through a motherfucking radio. So, wasn't nobody making no phone calls. Everybody just chirping, hey, bro, what up, Joe, where you at? And it was easier like that. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much walkie-talkies, man. I love them phones so much, but people stopped fucking with it because the feds started tapping in on a lot of lines. They was, busting a lot of drug deals. And, if whoever had that chirp line, whenever you come over that line, whoever was on that line would hear it. You know what I mean? So it was like a group thing. So let's say 5 people you had to give a person your chirp number. So man, what's your chirp number? We wasn't asked for what's your Instagram? We what's your chirp number? Oh, it was 173 star 4112 star 369 star 7119. That's your chirp number. So when you put that in, and then you hit the side button, deep, you know what I'm saying? Then you good. So now, if you have your chirp turned off, you can send, when you hit the side button, it'll send you an alert. You know what I'm saying? And then when you got that alert, you know what I'm talking about, you can just answer like deep. Or if you didn't have your phone on private, you can just come straight through the chirp like, hey man, where the fuck you at, bro? Man, why you ain't picking up the phone? You know what I mean? And it was easier to talk. You wasn't talking all day on chirp. It was, man, say what you got to say and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, what's up? Where you at, Joe? Shit, hey, man, I'm still at Foot Locker. Hey, man, all right, man, I'm finna be on Erie, Joe. You know what I'm saying? How long you gonna be? I give me about 20 minutes. All right, bro, I'm waiting on you. All right, cool. Boom. That's how fast and easy it was. Beautiful. It ain't now you gotta do you call the phone. Hey, well, man, I love them chirps, man. I love them. And, phones got them now. Look on your iPhone or your Nextel, not Nextel, iPhone or Android, and download a walkie-talkie. That's how the chirp was used, to where you can hit the side button, just talk, and man, it was beautiful. But let's get back to it.
Nextel information is news.
The Voice was definitely one of our security that works directly for Mr. Knight.
Michael Moore, the night that Tupac was shot, after being taken off of Tupac with me, went back over to Club 662.
Maybe the police should have concentrated more on death row, the Nextel phone bills, and other things that could have helped them investigate it more in depth. I would definitely look more at death row than I would look at Mr. Anderson. And that's from what I've gathered when I was at New York, what I heard Pac tell Suge Knight, and what I heard over that radio that night after the shots were fired.
Again, that right there should sum it up. That's right there, because he wasn't with all that under Reggie Wright thing. He's like, look, I'm here to do a job. You know what I'm talking about? Because, see, his thing was, nigga, I'm protecting Pac. I'm fucking with Pac. Fuck. You know what I mean? It's like, let's say a motherfucker hire you to bodyguard Beyonce, a company. And you're going to do the best thing in your power, like the movie Bodyguard, when Kevin Costner was bodyguarding Whitney Houston and Assassin trying to kill her. You know what I'm talking about? You're going to make sure in your power that you're going to do everything in your power to protect the artists. Artists like Pac. Let's say you was on Jay-Z right now or Beyonce. You know what I'm talking about? Kanye West. You're going to make sure you're going to do everything in your power. Like, fuck the Reggie Wright security company. Y'all just hired me and gave me opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I'm letting Pac know I'm down with you. So even if Reggie Wright and them do fire me, you can still put me on as your personal security guard. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, he's showing him some loyalty. Like, man, I'm fucking with you, Pac. You know, they gave me the opportunity, but I'm here now. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Pac could have been like, man, you know what, I like dude. I like how he operate, like if he got fired. And then maybe in the future, like, hey, man, yeah, this Pac, man, I like the way you did security, man. You can't fuck with me. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where he was at with it. So I understand it was a lot of people that knew what was going on. Certain people didn't know what was going on. Frank Alexander didn't know what was going on, and Michael Moore didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Because these Pac personal people that he developed a relationship with that wasn't going to let him get hit up. And Reggie Wright kind of knew that. He knew who was really fucking with Pac and who wasn't fucking with Pac like that. So he put Frank on him because Frank was the good guy, the teddy bear. And Frank followed orders. But Michael Moore wasn't following orders. So that's why they had to take him off Pac, because he wasn't ready to give up his gun. If he had a gun, the situation different that day. So when that gun started coming out, he get to firing. He run out the car, he get to firing. Bang, 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 hit the driver. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different ball game now. You understand what I'm saying? It's a whole different ball game now. So he can't be there with no gun. But you can get Frank there and make sure ain't nobody got no gun. So, you know, for what he got it up in New York, the argument, that's one. Another thing, Pac wanted his masters. He can't get his masters. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing. You understand? You with me? So something is already being plotted to happen before this fight even happened. And it was going to have to be done on the night of the fight. You know what I mean? Because it'd be a lot of people, and it's like, you know, let's do it here. You know what I mean? It's more, you know what I'm saying? It's more, you know, we out our element. Let's do it here.
They got word that Tupac and Suge had been shot. So Michael was with Reggie, and they went to the hospital together. And Michael talks about hearing something over the radio. Well, he would have heard it over Reggie's radio because he wouldn't have had a radio that night.
Right before me and Mr. Wright got in the vehicle to go get to the hospital, someone else came on the radio and said, hey, don't say nothing over the radio.
That communication, however obtained, either through search warrant or otherwise, needs to be gathered, because how can you tell a conspiracy if you don't have the conspirators and you don't have the communication between the people that are actually running the conspiracy?
You've got to know a timeline of the individual who is your target. You've got to know where they're at, where they're going to be, who they're going to be surrounded by. And the second thing is, you know, following that timeline, knowing when there is, you're going to have to plan according to that.
And so you got to keep in mind, Reggie Wright made sure that Michael Moore was with him. Now you got to keep in mind, listen to all the things that dude's telling you, man. Listen to it. The man saying he heard got him over Reggie Wright's phone. See, and then he said another motherfucker come over and say, hey man, don't say shit over the phone, because, you know, like I say, it was kind of you don't know who the fuck around. You just don't come, like I said, as I explained earlier, you can just come to a motherfucker chirp. I used to have my chirp on all the time in the bed with my girl, and the bitch trying to call me, and I'm not picking up. She just come to my chirp. Like, hey bitch, I know you hear me trying to get in touch with you. Where the fuck you at? And my girl like, who the fuck is that? I'm like, man, I don't know. They must got the wrong chirp number. You know what I mean? Then I have to turn off my chirp. But you can just come through them chirps. That's the only thing about it. Now, you can't come through it if you had, I think it's something that you could push, like, let's say, private. You know what I'm talking about? So your chirp is not open. So you'll have to get an alert in order for that. Like, it'll say, deep, 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 deep. And it'll give you some type of alert stand that somebody's trying to reach you. So they just come through it. It'd be like a busy thing. But if that is not on, somebody can just come straight through your chirp. And that happened to me a lot. So apparently, you know, so Reggie had his shit open and dude just came through, got him. And that's why he said it came straight through. Reggie made sure that Michael Moore was with him to make sure that the shit go through. And then when he heard got him, and somebody else came through and said, don't say nothing on the chirp, that sound like kind of fucking suspicious. Instead of somebody calling and say, hey man, Tupac just got shot, right? Instead of going on church and say, hey Reggie, Tupac just got shot, you heard got him. So stop listening to this Keefy D shit. Stop listening to that. And listen to the person who's giving you the story who's now dead for telling the story.
Mr. Wright and I were talking about what had happened, and I just clearly heard somebody say, don't say that over the radio. But the person who said it was not Homeboy Security, nor was it one of our security guards. It was, to me, would be like a stranger. Someone, and the person that said that was Caucasian. Definitely not African American.
Nextel sold a push-to-talk feature, which was essentially a walkie-talkie over a cell phone line. With it, conversations could be transmitted via speakerphone. This was how Moore heard the conversation on Wright's cell phone. But was this a random broadcast meant for a wider audience, with Moore and Wright only passive listeners? That's possible now. But what about in 1996? We asked the Sprint Nextel Corporation to comment on the ability to communicate with a group on the push-to-talk feature.
My name is Jack Flans. I'm a communications manager for Sprint Nextel. Group talk for the push-to-talk product was not available in 1996 as it is now.
So if a Nextel radio broadcast had to be a point-to-point conversation, and Moore hears the message over Wright's Nextel, then only one conclusion remains. Someone with immediate knowledge of the kill called Wright directly.
Right after the car sped off, I jumped out of the car and I ran up to the back of the BMW. As I was approaching the BMW, as I got about to the trunk, the car did a U-turn. There's absolutely no way I thought that car was moving, because with all of the rounds that went through that car, they were dead.
You know, one of the other elements of planning that's sometimes used and sometimes not is how can we cover up the hit itself? Can we make this look like an accident, or can we make this look like a random act? Because the best thing an assassin can do is to make it look like it was a random act of violence, that it was not an assassination at all.
When the car did a U-turn, the other cars that was with us in the entourage, the car that was in front of Suge and the car that was next to Suge, all did a U-turn.
2 bike cops who were in the parking garage right above, on the second floor of the parking garage above the shooting, hear bang, bang, bang. They jump on their bikes, take their bikes downstairs, and boom, they're on the scene immediately. So quickly that they're able to follow and then hit their little shoulder radios that, there's been a shooting at Koval and Flamingo.
Got back over to the Las Vegas Boulevard. Turned left on Las Vegas Boulevard as he's jumping mediums. He's blowing his tires, messed up his rims and all of that, as pictures show. With this crime scene tape being put around this car, and it happened so fast, like I can't even believe how fast it was. This tape was up as myself and the Outlaws and the other 2 guys, which was, with Suge, tried to go into the tape, the crime scene tape. We were told not to, and they, at that point in time, put us down on the curb, put us down in a prone position, and I said to the one cop that I was the bodyguard, and he allowed me to come in. When I got up under the tape, and Suge was laying on the ground in a prone position, and I told the cop, I said, he's the CEO of the record label, and that's Tupac in the car. That's when they let him up off the ground, and Suge and I ran around to the passenger side of the car with the cop, and we were all trying to open the door. And Suge said, it's my car, I know how to open the door, whatever. So he opened the door, and that's when, pulled Pac out of the car and laid him on the ground.
You have the...
Again, he says, my car, I know how to open the door. So that's indicating that it's a certain way you had to open the door. So you Pac couldn't get out that car if he wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, the car was brand new. Remember, keep that in mind. So if the car brand new, it shouldn't be no way to where, you couldn't just get the door open. You understand what I'm saying? That door was rigged. The door was rigged.
Preliminary crime scene, which has been cordoned off, and usually
he opened the door, and that's when
forensics are there by now, your paramedics are there by now, everyone is at the preliminary crime scene.
And yet both cops, 2 bicycle cops, not one of them stays at the scene. Both of them leave the scene.
The victim's vehicle was 2 to 3 vehicles back from the intersection. The Cadillac pulled up immediately beside them, stopped, and opened fire.
Where the car broke down at, there was all of the cops were right there. And there was a lieutenant, and he walked over to me, and we were talking, and I said, that's not the car. It was a white car over there already. It was like a Nissan or something like that. And he was saying that was the car. And I said, that's not the car. I said, that's not the car. It was a white Cadillac. And he was telling me, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut up.
And we are looking for a suspect vehicle, which was described as a white or off-white Cadillac, newer model Cadillac.
And then another cop walked over to him and said something to him, and he just turned and walked away from me.
It amazes me that when we have professional bodyguards as part of this entourage, that they can't even give us an accurate description of the vehicle.
Kevin Manning from Las Vegas PD, he said that no bodyguard could accurately give a description of the white Cadillac. Well, I am the one that said that there was a white Cadillac.
So right now it appears that the gunshots were fired from the suspect vehicle only, again, which is described as a white or light-colored newer Cadillac.
Suspect vehicles that have left the scene at a high rate of speed that would draw attention to them. If there are vehicles noted by the witnesses, the preliminary officers and the sergeant, our supervisor on the scene, would issue an all-points bulletin describing the vehicle.
There are helicopters available, and police headquarters is downtown, which isn't very far. It's just a couple of miles away from where the shooting took place. They could have dispatched almost immediately. I'm sure some were on call almost immediately.
Procedure, or a procedure that we follow, is basically that. If we have a witness came forward and say, I saw this, it was this type of vehicle, the first thing we're going to do is get on the radio and start having every agency in the area look for that vehicle. Put out the word, this is what we're looking for, this is a vehicle of interest, they could be considered armed and dangerous. Let's find this vehicle, because that is a huge, huge piece of the puzzle that we need to put in place.
It just didn't feel like a typical murder investigation. I mean, my God, the biggest man in rap, was killed, and yet they were acting, I hate to use this word, but it felt lackadaisical.
This is the vehicle we want. This was the last direction of travel that that is known to us.
They could have closed I-15. They could have, they'll close it for an accident, not even leave a small accident, not even leave a lane open for motorists. So it's not like they're worried about the motorists. They could have closed I-15. They could have closed the strip. They could have walled the place off. You had Nevada Highway Patrolmen on extra duty. You had Metro Police on overtime working. It's a Tyson fight.
Being intent on looking for that particular vehicle, on sitting on the side of the road, waiting for that vehicle to drive past them. But at the same time, you give the description, the direction of travel that you know of, you're going to have many agencies start to look for that particular vehicle to cover those roadways.
At state line, the Nevada Highway Patrol has an office that's manned. And so all they would have to do is radio 30 to 40 minutes away. That's how long it would take to get to the state line. They could have roadblocked that thing so fast it wouldn't have been funny.
Man, I don't think the police really care, to be honest with you. I don't think nobody really cares.
Las Vegas Metropolitan Police also has a sub-office at the airport. So the airport police, Metro Police, already on the scene at the airport, could have been on alert for, the shooter coming out of there too.
Whether it's some type of diversion tactic to take their attention away, to let them drop their guard for a moment, up into the point of how you're going to get out there after the hit.
Now, them looking for the Cadillac and doing the things that they should have done to find that Cadillac, obviously they weren't fast enough and didn't get, to finding it, because it was never found.
Compton police claim to have identified this Cadillac as the shooter's vehicle. It was a rental car, the only white Cadillac rented in Los Angeles that weekend. Las Vegas police claimed they never received that information.
Because obviously, you gotta understand, I came into this call. In fact, I was woke up to go to the investigation.
That's weird. The Cadillac was rented? So somebody rented so hold on. See, Now that's something that probably slipped my mind. So the Cadillac is a rental. The Cadillac is a rental Cadillac that was rented that weekend. Okay, which is nobody's going to do a hit in a rented Cadillac if it wasn't already, staged and planned. So all they really have to do is simple: find out who rented the Cadillac, and there's your case.
The protocol for the preliminary investigators at a crime scene are to gather as many witnesses as possible. If a witness is not cooperative, then they should be placed under arrest for that moment as a material witness or hindering an investigation of a police officer.
Those guys are sitting right next to each other and they're talking to each other. And you never have witnesses to a crime sit with each other. You isolate them, you take them to a holding cell, put them in different cells. They've got room especially for that.
But the prime players, the secondary level players, they should be all isolated so as not to experience misinformation effect or to give false information or to congeal their information into one witness.
When the detectives arrived, and Detective Becker at the time was the homicide detective on the case, he took us individually one at a time into his car and started talking to us. As he was trying to talk to us and to get answers, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm going to speak for myself, that I was in a clear state of mind to answer him, period, because all of this stuff is running through my head.
Frank Alexander, who was Tupac's bodyguard, who was driving the car behind him, was someone we interviewed.
I just saw my friend get shot, and not only him being my friend, I'm the bodyguard, I'm supposed to be protecting him, and I couldn't do anything. No one would have been able to do anything, but the fact is, myself nor anyone else were in a frame of mind to answer any kind of questions at that particular point in time.
Again, people were evasive, didn't want to say much of anything. They didn't see anything. They aren't going to, they aren't telling us everything that they know.
And it was basically the police talking as if they were at the mercy of the people who were witnesses to the case. That, oh, well, they won't talk to us. So, and Suge Knight won't talk to us. We haven't talked to him yet. He won't return our calls.
I was never interviewed by any of the police agencies, the FBI, nor Las Vegas PD. And I found that to be a little strange because for the last week, I was with Tupac and I didn't get a single question from anyone about what I thought, what my theory was on what happened, nor about the Nextel phones where I had heard the conversation that said, "Got him."
No interviews. This is my first any kind of interview.
It was the DA's office, but no any other federal agencies, no.
These people should be isolated and transported, whether they wanted to or not, to the police station because they're material witnesses.
He's going to have to make some very difficult choices. One of those difficult choices, does he want to put his freedom on the line not to cooperate? In other words, are we going to have to take him into custody for obstructing an investigation? We're going to need to take him back and do what we need to do to interview him.
Bodyguards, because of their association and close association to whom they're guarding, they're privy to things being said, things being seen that they may normally keep to themselves, but in this situation could actually lead to an identification of a suspect or suspects. So bodyguards are a prime source of information.
So I don't know how the police can say that that's not cooperation when they weren't even approached. They're just sitting in the waiting room.
And if they're willing to give information, then a detective who neglects going for that information is losing a lot of valuable leads in this type of investigation.
I was there in Vegas when he was shot.
It doesn't matter whether you're bodyguards or you're a housemaid or you're a butler. You're privy to information which is crucial, and you may keep it to yourself, but at a certain juncture, these things become paramount. These things become crucial. The conversations that are overheard, the conversations that are had, need to come forward.
Because this was the first time I ever dealt with any kind of music industry case like this, and it was a learning curve for me as far as how everything was done, and it was very confusing to me how things were kind of just done haphazardly. Yafufula was a name that a lot of people have thrown back in our faces, that we were derelict in doing things. Yafufula was interviewed the night of the shooting. Yafufula gave a statement. People say we never interviewed him. He was interviewed. And the big thing is everybody says that he said he could identify the shooter. No, he did not. He never said that to us. He said he might be able to identify the driver. That is what he said.
Don't matter.
We tried to re-interview him. The problem was, this is a big country. People go wherever, we don't have tracking devices on them. So we have to depend on people that we know we can get in touch with to try and reach out to them. Malcolm Green said he could identify the shooter. We finally tracked him down to set up a re-interview. And he says, I'm not going to look at any photos because I can't identify him. Yeah, we got beat up in the LA Times over that. And I'm thinking, okay, put up or shut up, Ace. And, well.
And Malcolm Green, everybody know that's Idi Amin. You know what I'm saying? When Tupac said, Idi Amin. You know what I'm saying? So, he was, that's who he is, Malcolm Green, Idi Amin.
But, again, Reggie Wright Jr. is the one that brought him to that interview.
Pay no attention to that.
Right, so Reggie Wright brought him to the interview, letting him know, shut the fuck up. Again, Reggie Wright brought Idi Amin to the interview. Idi Amin is under Pac, I believe under the Outlaws. But shit, Pac already dead. You know what I'm talking about? And Reggie Wright bring him to the interview. Reggie Wright hanging with motherfuckers, make sure they don't talk.
And behind the curtain, the great and powerful art has spoken.
You know very little about Marion Suge Knight's partner in business. There are no pictures of this man circulating on the internet. He's a man in the shadows. That man's name is Reginald Wright Jr. Reggie Wright Jr. was clearly at the middle of the entire orchestration of the assassination, to be sure. However, one must look at the other elements that would have been involved. Reggie Wright Jr. was a former Compton police officer. His record as a police officer was short and unremarkable.
Reggie Wright used to work for Compton PD, yes. I know he had some type of medical retirement running Right Way Security. He was not working for Compton PD.
I have no relationship with Reggie Wright at this time, nor do I plan to.
My impression, my opinion of Reggie Wright Jr. was he's employed by Death Row Records to do a certain job. He's going to do what his employer has him do. He's going to divulge what they want released to the police and withhold things that maybe they don't want released.
Reggie is not honest, and I want to leave it at that.
One of Reggie's problems was that Reggie didn't have the executive protection background that we all had. But the difference between, I would say, the team and myself and Frank is Frank and I would speak up about it. We would say, hey, Reggie, you know, you should do it this way, and this is why. Or you should do it this way, and this is why. And I think he was so busy being the boss that his employees couldn't tell him how or what to do, when all we were trying to do was educate him a little bit in how you do this or how you do that regarding executive protection matters. And it was kind of sad to us because, like Frank said, we had such a tight team that Mr. Wright and us could have gone places. We could have did a lot of things. We could have made a lot of money together, but he was too busy not wanting to be educated per se on particular issues that we were well experienced in that he was not. But if it seemed as if myself or Frank were trying to tell him, you know, what he could or couldn't do, then he wasn't hearing it, and that was the end of that. So there was a lot that we never got done that we could have gotten done professionally.
Again, everybody, listen to me, man. I've been saying Reggie Wright was a snake. He's not honest. I sent the motherfucker, a message on YouTube, and I said, hey, bro, I know you behind Pac murder. I got proof and you going down real soon. Man, that man got 87,000 views, right? Why the fuck you respond back to me? Who is this? Don't worry about it. Just, I know what you did. Who is you? Like, who is this? What are you talking about? Okay, all right. You will respond to that. So that's that guilt coming out. He don't know what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? But he definitely guilty. You know what I'm saying? He didn't know who the fuck I was, but I definitely made that comment to him. But as again, he's definitely involved in it. So when y'all talking that Keefy D shit, man, don't stop looking at Death Row. You know what I'm saying? Reggie definitely was involved in it, disarming all the people, all his people that was able to carry the guns. He made sure they wasn't armed, and the people that wasn't listening to him, then he made sure they was out the way, going to the police station with motherfuckers, Idi Amin and all that. Man, we gonna talk to the police. We gonna decide this ourselves. Whoever killed Pop, we gonna kill him ourselves. I got some people in place, so don't talk to no police, man. Just tell them you don't know nothing, you can't identify nothing. So when we do our thing, come on, man, you know what what the conversation was. Idi Amin don't need you to take him to the police station. You could have went his damn self. But you gotta make sure don't nothing be said. That's why you whoop motherfuckers. You try to police some shit. Come on, man. Watch Reggie Wright.
Yeah, I guess the way to sum Reggie up is he was just selfish.
His childhood friendship with Knight was one part of the attraction. But he had one asset that made a relationship with him even more attractive. His father. Reggie Wright Sr. was on the Compton Police Department's gang detail and is still employed by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Unlike the notorious reputation of his son, Reggie Wright Sr. has remained a well-respected and revered member of the Compton police scene. His father's status as a conduit to the gang population may have given Reggie Jr. a unique first-hand relationship with the same gang leaders that knew his father.
If that's not a conflict of interest, I've never heard one.
Suge Knight, also from Compton, may have seen the opportunity to use Wright's network to his advantage. He would know. He grew up there. A shrewd business move indeed.
In my opinion, Reggie Wright Sr. should have excluded himself from the investigation immediately because it's an obvious conflict of interest. And it was a mistake not to do that. The fact that Reggie Wright Sr. and Reggie Wright Jr. are involved in this case, in my mind at least, creates a classic conflict of interest. And it's something that anyone looking at this case, I think, should be aware of.
I was told that normally Tupac wore body armor in public. He wasn't doing that. And the way it was put to me is that I guess he was told not to wear it. I don't know why.
Could Reggie Wright make that sort of call and use death row resources for that effort? Apparently so. In these court documents, we learn that Wright was not only the acting general manager for death row, but was also agent of record for death row records.
You're suing a corporation, at least in the state of Ohio, and I think just about every other jurisdiction, you have to have some person to serve process on, and that person, again, in the state of Ohio, is someone that's designated, and the record is on file at the Secretary of State's office as to the person who the service would be placed upon.
These lawsuit transcripts also show that Wright had the authority of managing witnesses and financial arrangements on Knight's behalf. We also know that Wright had the off-duty police departments of Los Angeles, Compton, and Las Vegas at his disposal. If this seems to be a lot of responsibility and power, consider the fact that Wright was in charge of security for death row's most valuable asset at the time. Shakur was killed while Wright was in charge, and he was given a promotion when most security agents would not have a job. Or was he always in charge, just under Suge Knight? We now know that Reggie lied to Knight, including what happened that night and his own instruction.
But I'm going to add something to that. We were also instructed to lie by Reggie Wright to Suge. And the reason we were instructed to lie was because Reggie Wright told us not to carry any weapons. Suge called a meeting. All the artists were instructed to come to this meeting, and certain security was invited, and I happened to be one of them. But prior to going into the meeting with Suge and all the artists from Death Row, Reggie met with us out front in his own meeting and instructed us to say certain things. And when I got into the meeting, it was a meeting the meeting was basically about what happened. And the artists were drilling security about what methods we had used and what were some of our tactics.
At that time, Suge wasn't even aware that I was still doing security. Reggie had taken me to another job that he was doing at a church, securing a church up in Inglewood from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I looked around and no one said it. No one was speaking up for security. So I seen it was more, and I've been in these type of meetings before, even at the fire station. It's almost like similar to a political type meeting of far the higher, of what was going on. So I was one of the few people that spoke up and said, wait a minute, we were instructed not to carry weapons. And none of the artists knew that. They didn't know we were instructed not to carry weapons that day. And it looked like Reggie wasn't going to say that information to them. So I spoke up and said, no, we were instructed not to carry weapons that day. And that's why no one in security, with probably at the exception of me, had a weapon.
So Suge wasn't even aware that I was still working with Right Way. I remember Michael asking me, or telling me that Reggie had told Suge that I was no longer working with Right Way Security. And I would have wondered what he would have done or how he would have felt to have known that I was still working for Right Way all the way up until the end of November.
The fact that Reggie Wright Sr. is a police lieutenant who apparently was involved in this case is the father of Reggie Wright Jr., who, as I understand it, was the head of security for Death Row Records, creates a huge conflict of interest. And the fact that that the elder, Mr. Wright, is referred to in the affidavit for the search warrant, I think in some ways would taint that search warrant. At a minimum, it should have been brought out in the body of that affidavit for the search warrant, the relationship between the parties. It would have been helpful for the judge reviewing that application or affidavit for a search warrant to know that.
The greatest lie the devil ever told was he doesn't exist.
Oh, I was regularly, contacting the police, and I had sources within the police department saying, "Hey, they don't want this thing to go to trial. All these gangster rappers would come to town. It would be bad publicity for Metro, and for the city, it would be bad for tourism. And I guess justice, comes second to tourism. But at least that's what I was being told from within, and these are sources, But basically, it was buttoned up at the police department. They would talk to me, but they would tell me nothing. Now, Compton got involved because they brought detectives there and handed a Crips member to them who they thought had information, and Las Vegas police didn't interview him. They talked to him casually, "Hi, how you doing?" that sort of thing, but they didn't formally interview him and did not name him a suspect and let him go into the night.
A man once said that people will believe a big lie sooner than a little one. And if you repeat the lie frequently enough, people will sooner or later believe it.
Correct.
That man was Adolf Hitler. This is an affidavit, a sworn statement written as a matter of record. It contains facts and sworn testimony. This affidavit was used to secure a search warrant in which 22 arrests were made.
As far as the affidavit and the officer's style of preparing it, some of them are narrative and some of them are a little bit more factually based with bullet points. It's pretty much up to the police officer as to how he or she wants to style the affidavit for the search warrant. But the bottom line is they have to swear that those facts are true. And judges, when they're signing search warrants, the search warrants that I signed when I was a judge, more often than not, it'd be at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. And you read it carefully, and you question those officers. But at the end of the day, the judge signing that search warrant, yeah, he's got to trust the officer. He's got to trust that what's contained in the affidavit is correct and what's contained in the affidavit is truthful. And if at some point down the road it's found to be not truthful or not correct, the fruits of that search that was born from the affidavit and the search warrant can be suppressed.
It began before dawn. The crime sweep involved 300 officers, 10 agencies, including the FBI, at more than 37 locations in the Compton, Linwood, and Long Beach areas. Compton police say the arrests were for local crimes in connection with 12 shootings that occurred in the city of Compton that resulted in 3 deaths. But officers did reveal there could be a link to the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur.
Our investigation revealed that some of the motivation for the shootings that occurred in Compton may be in retaliation for the events that transpired in Las Vegas.
In this affidavit, 2 important myths are spawned: the Orlando Anderson shooter myth and the East Coast West Coast myth. This affidavit relies heavily on the statements of confidential informants who can neither be named nor verified as to their existence. Police often use informants to help investigations move, but informant information can be considered unreliable.
Many times in search warrants, police officers are relying on confidential and what they refer to as reliable informants. In the body of the affidavit for the search warrant, it has to be spelled out why they believe these people that they believe as confidential informants, why that they've used them in the past and that they've been reliable in the past. So search warrants have to be supported by affidavits sworn to by the police officers.
On September 8, 1996, Suge Knight does not go to his home to rest. Instead, he does a strange thing. He leaves town. Trayvon also leaves town. Suge Knight and Trayvon go back to L.A. Their goal, start a cover story and a gang war.
And that's weird. Guess who else did that? Puffy. When Biggie got killed, Puffy jumped on a plane and got up out of there. So your man, Tupac, just get killed. Trayvon, block Pac off. Of course, Suge telling again, Suge through the orders. You know what I mean? But Tupac get killed. So on September the 6th, y'all leave. Y'all don't stand, in Vegas. Y'all push out. You and Trayvon Lane, the one who ran to say, hey, Pac, he could have told anybody on earth, but you tell Pac. Don't tell the bodyguards or anybody, but Pac, this dude who snatched my chain, woo, woo, woo. You know what I'm talking about. And you the same one that was part of the block off on the side of Suge, make sure Suge don't get hit or, come on, man. It's too relevant, bro. It's too relevant of a setup. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm here and my number one artist just got killed, and I'm just gonna leave him that night, don't want to find none out, I'm not hysterical, I'm not like, damn, it's fucked up, because once Pac got killed, Suge knew that everything that Pac owned belonged to him. You understand what I'm saying? He knew that. He knew about them 125 unreleased masters, plus he knew everything don't go straight up the roof. You know what I'm saying? But, every dog has his day. That's why Suge sitting in jail right now. Because what you do on a dog should come to light. You know what I'm saying? God is punishing him. You know what I'm saying? For what he done. He thought he got away with murder, and he really didn't. Suge is behind the murder of Tupac. All parties involved come through Suge camp. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody's going to try to kill Tupac at that time the way Suge was feared and all the people that Suge had with him. It's a suicide mission. It's a suicide mission. I don't care how tough you is. Ain't no car gonna pull up on the side, do a drive-by and keep going when you got 4 other cars with you, not knowing if these cars got guns or not. Use your fucking head, man. You don't know if these cars got guns. If I come up and pull up and shoot Tupac, not even should, but shoot Tupac, and you don't think for 1 second that somebody gonna boss me off, got a car in the front, car in the back, gonna boss me off, jump out and start spraying my car? I mean, that's usually what will happen. If I'm going to shoot up some Bloods cars, the rival gang, like, come on, man, I don't believe that shit for one bit. Not 1% do I believe that, bro. And I'm telling you because I've been in the action. It's suicide. It's not gonna happen. It's me going to a Puerto Rican neighborhood, Atlanta Kings, and I'm throwing down a king. I go walk in the game meeting while they having a meeting, and I'm throwing down the king, down the crown. Fuck King, yeah, what up, Joe? Fuck King. Like, dude, that's suicide. Nobody's gonna do that. Give me a fucking break. Unless, I'm instructed to do that with immunity for something to happen, for somebody else to get killed in the process. So I would have to be the sitting duck. You know what I mean? It would have to be a sitting duck in order for me to do that. And to make it look like, man, this dude came in here and this happened and dude ended up getting killed. Come on, man, that shit staged, bro. Let's get back to it.
Unless the story's written to try to get, if somebody else is driving it, someone who's behind the murder is driving the story and feeding this over to the LA Times to steer the investigation in another direction.
It wasn't only the Compton police that were interested in the identity of Anderson. Somehow, Anderson was pegged by someone to not only be the shooter, but a shooter with rival gang affiliations, different from that of Shakur and Death Row.
I'm going to say it again. And see, I didn't even know he said this. I said it again. I said it earlier. Anderson, the ass whooping Anderson took for that $60,000 was for these reasons here. I'll say it again. Say it again, big homie.
Were interested in the identity of Anderson. Somehow, Anderson was pegged by someone to not only be the shooter, but a shooter with rival gang affiliations, different from that of Shakur and Death Row.
Who's behind the murder is driving the story.
And one more time. Y'all didn't hear it. One more time. Listen.
Feeding this over to the LA Times to steer the investigation in another direction.
It wasn't only the Compton police that were interested in the identity of Anderson. Somehow, Anderson was pegged by someone to not only be the shooter, but a shooter with rival gang affiliations, different from that of Shakur and Death Row. This caused a gang conflict to flare right after the shooting. 5 people died, and 11 others were wounded in shootings, all started by a rumor. On September 11, 1996, Knight returns to Las Vegas, but not without Compton police, recovering a mysterious duffel bag with Southwest Airlines tags on it, some guns, and a box of .40 caliber shells. The bag did not belong to Orlando Anderson, and it takes a bit of logic jumping to make any connection to Anderson at all, save the unknown and unverifiable confidential informants.
Prosecuting cases where confidential informants are involved is always a difficult process because courts will bend over backwards, judges will bend over backwards to protect the identity of those informants. In some cases, on a specified showing, the identity of the informant can be revealed, but informants, whether you agree with the concept of using them or not, are, in this day and age, a very big part of the system, and judges will bend over backwards to protect their identity, so police officers can use them in the future. But from a prosecutor's point of view, it can be problematic.
Brennan goes on to mention that on September 16, 1996, there was a meeting between Compton police and Las Vegas detectives. Eager to share what they have found and their likely suspect, they learn that a .40 caliber shell was found at the shooting scene. They also learn that the weapon was thought to be a Glock. Within 3 days, Compton PD wins the informant lottery, finding an informant who just so happens to know that Orlando Anderson had a Glock 40. Now remember, there was no mention of a Glock in the cache of weapons recovered from that mysterious duffel bag.
Now, there were so many holes in this story. I always say the truth makes sense. Other things don't make sense, and you can find holes. And that thing was just rife with holes.
If you take Trayvon's credibility away as an eyewitness, what is there? Enough inflammatory statements to incite a gang war. With enough disinformation, the waters were decidedly muddy, giving Knight a great cover story to use when he returned to Vegas to meet with the detectives.
In order to get a grand jury indictment in any jurisdiction in this country, state, federal, whatever, what you need is probable cause. You do not have to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard for trial. In order to get an indictment, there has to be probable cause that an offense has been committed and the person charged with that offense has committed it. Not that high of a standard. It's certainly not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. In some criminal cases, and certainly in this one, in my opinion, the bottom line comes down to power. It comes down to money. It comes down, I think, to witnesses maybe not saying everything that they know. The amounts of money that have been bandied about in this case with respect to royalties and what was owed certain people is really astounding. And that certainly has to be a motivating, or I believe it's a motivating factor in this case.
When I first heard about it, I thought that he was going to recover. But when I seen him, to be honest, he looked like he was in a bad state.
Sergeant Manning told me that, yes, young black men get killed. I believe that's a direct quote from my book, The Killing of Tupac Shakur.
I don't know where Pac would be at right now, and only God knows. But being that if you look at him, his music that he did now, that's still selling now, that he did 10 years ago, it lets you know he probably still would have been ahead of most of these cats. And God knows best, because the music that he putting out now, he been recorded it, and it's still selling platinum.
I remember we went to see him that Friday, the same Friday he died. And we went to visit him in Vegas at the hospital, and about, I guess it was about 1 o'clock that day. And myself and a couple other people, we went in to visit him, and he was just laying there and just helpless. And kissed him on his forehead. It was cold. And after then, by the time we got on the road to come to LA, he was already dead. I mean, I just messed my whole day up. And the people that I was with too, we felt very sad, because we thought that for some reason he was going to make it, but he didn't.
So it's a verse in the Quran where God said, if you take one soul, O son of Adam, if you take one soul unjustly, it's as if you killed the whole humanity. And if you save one life, it's as if you saved the whole humanity.
You know, murdered, yes. Assassinated, absolutely. And he just didn't deserve to die like that. He really didn't. It matters to me because of the relationship that I had with him and the things that he did for my family, from the kindness and the goodness of his heart. You know, and I just really, you know, I really appreciate everything that he did, and I guess that's my love for him.
And if you can go back and work the case and talk to people in the past, I mean, there are bodyguards who were never interviewed, who the police could go back to it. I mean, police are so proud of themselves when they open up an investigation and 20 years later they solve the case.
It was a haze. It was like a dark cloud that was just sort of over the organization, if you will, for less of a word. Tupac was loved by all of his colleagues, and he was loved by his security staff. So for his death to come about the way it did, unfortunately and sadly, things kind of slowed down. Yeah, I mean, you know, people were mourning him. People were mourning him.
Other witnesses, though, who have since ended up deceased, you know, that we attempted to talk to that night, refused to talk to us. McDonald didn't have anything he wanted to say to us. Now he's dead.
One person dead.
People that we talked to during an investigation in California, they're dead. I mean, yeah, a lot of people have died that were directly or indirectly linked to this investigation. So we would try to get in touch with people, and you'd have to go through death row records or whomever to try and locate them. And we tried to reach out to re-interview Yafu Fula through death row records, death row attorneys. And we kept getting the runaround, yeah, we'll get you in touch with him. Yes, we'll do this. Yes, we'll do that.
There are new investigators here in Las Vegas that are actively working the investigation. I know that for a fact.
When I was a judge, if I would have found out that police officers misrepresented or lied in a search warrant, I would have taken immediate action. I think the first thing I would have done would be to talk to the prosecuting attorney about a prosecution against those officers for perjury or some related offense. Let the grand jury decide. That's the way our system works. It's a group of citizens who decide whether a case should be prosecuted. And again, based upon what I've seen, I think it's a case that should be presented to a grand jury.
I never did get over it. I think the only person I talked to about it was Frank. And to this day, I believe that gotcha was inside the organization and not out.
The story of Tupac Shakur is a story that does not have a happy ending yet. It may never have one. The actions of Wright, either with or without Knight's knowledge, put an end to one of the most talented artists in that decade. Wright was directly in the middle of it, well beyond the act of negligence. And even when Wright and company tried to manufacture the gang rivalry and the Orlando Anderson stories, to their credit, the Las Vegas police didn't buy them. The story's much simpler than that. It's the story of a big lie. A lie to Tupac on how much money he had. A lie to the public on who killed Tupac. And a lie as to who's responsible for the death of Tupac. The man behind the curtain.
But in my death, because we all are going to die, and that's the facts of life, when I stand before God, I believe that our lives are replayed for us. And at that point in time, because Pac was a part of my life, it will be revealed to me who killed Tupac.
New witnesses and facts have been put forth. These facts were offered to media and to the Vegas Police Department. Both refused them. It's now your turn. No matter what you believed about this man, no human being deserved what happened. We hope you'll ask for those who cared to get involved and help put this matter to justice. Or let this be your child.
Our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about the things that matter.
That's crazy, bro. So, yeah, again, Frank died. Michael Moore died. I'm talking about Gaddafi died. Man, it's like a whole bunch of people within that camp died, man. But, again, look at Snoop. Snoop. This thing saying that he, it's some shit that was going on with Snoop, man. Check this out, you know what I mean? Because Pac and Snoop wasn't on good terms, but watch this.
Pac interrupted Snoop interview? Well, Papa G conducted he was the head of the publication, so he conducted all the interviews, everything. He did everything. Publicity-wise, he did everything. So during the time that the Dogfather was coming out, Papa G had me go with him to Can-Am because they were doing the interview with BRE magazine. So they were doing they were doing the interview with BRE, Snoop. Everybody was kind of in the room, in the studio. They were in there. Snoop was doing the interview with BRE, and then Tupac happened to come in. And when Tupac came in, he got to talking about Machiavelli. He kind of just threw off the whole energy in the room. So it just seemed like now we wasn't really on what we was talking about with Snoop no more. We wasn't really on that. We listening to what Pac talking about. And he playing all these songs and he dissing people and we on that. Like the reporter wasn't even, it was like the energy was just off of Snoop. It was all on Pac, and it was supposed to be a Snoop interview. But, I mean, he was in there giving a full concert, performing a song and everything, you know what I'm saying, while he was up in there, you know what I'm saying? So it was hard to still give Snoop that energy when he in there doing that. If you a Pac fan, you finna be amazed. And then you ain't never heard the Machiavelli, and now you hearing that, and you like, ooh, this is heat. Yeah, that's crazy, man. So Pac, he just came into that man interview and started playing Machiavelli.
He just came in and started playing the Machiavelli. And that was the first time that I really heard a couple of tracks off of that album, was that day.
What was your reaction when Pac did that? I don't know. At that time, I really didn't look at it like he was interrupting. I kind of looked at Death Row as like a family. I kind of just looked at like, man, he just coming here showing this stuff right now. He ain't even really looking at it like that. I didn't look at it like he was just coming in, taking over the interview at that time. But then when I got older, I kind of looked at the situation like, yeah, it could be a little different because he was in there. We was clearly in there doing the interview, and he came in there and he started playing this stuff and started talking about it. And I mean, at that time, Pac was hot. He was hot. Like, it was like he was hot. So.
Yeah, he was real hot at that time.
He was super hot, man. And you couldn't tell Pac nothing then. He was hot. I'm saying I used to work records. I tell anybody that used to do college radio, and I used to do college radio at Death Row, I tell anybody, when you did college radio or you did radio at Death Row, you did not have to do no job. You didn't have to do no work. Now, I know this difference because I started doing college radio for OFTB after they left Death Row. I used to have to make every phone call to get people to play that record. When I was at Death Row trying to get off a record, I ain't have to call nobody. All I had to do was just sit at my desk and answer the phone. That job was the easiest job that anybody could have did, is just answering the phone, just taking down the address, because everybody called me. I didn't have to call nobody when I was working the record.
Crazy, man. So do you think Snoop felt the type of way about Pac doing that?
I don't know. He didn't really show no signs that day that I could really say. I mean, and then at that time, me and Snoop was real cool. Papa G used to have to break me and Snoop up from having conversations. I didn't really see nothing from him in that time. And this ain't to throw no rocks at Snoop or nothing, because at that time, me and Snoop was real cool. You feel me? We was cool, like, super cool. Like I say, Papa G used to have to tell me I had to stop talking to him because they trying to do stuff.
I remember you saying before that, when Tupac got to Death Row, he became the head honcho. Like, at first, Snoop, he was the number one artist. But when Tupac got there, he became the, number one focus
Everybody
point.
knew that, though.
I mean, you couldn't deny that at that time. You couldn't deny it. I'm not taking nothing from Snoop, but at that time, it was just like Pac just took it he just took it out the solar system. It was just, everything was just, it was blew out the water. It was on another level. And I didn't get to experience Death Row when Doggy Style was on top. I just got to experience Death Row when All Eyes on Me was popping. And to me, that energy was just, it was out this universe, because it was like, it was a whole bunch going on. That was the experience, being around at that time, that was the experience that I will never, ever forget. It was a lot going on during that time, a lot.
And again, that's, man, the energy was different back then. It was super different, like, back in them days, man. But you got to understand, like, Snoop got too many stories, as far as where he was at when Tupac got killed. That man told like 6 different stories. Excuse me. And so, I just really don't believe anything that Snoop has to say at this moment. Snoop been lying, and he been lying forever. Let me see what they say. Hold on. This one.
Is there anyone particularly that stands out to you as kind of the hardest one of those?
No, that ain't it.
Swallow.
Hold on. I'm trying to find some shit. Let me see. Yeah, dude, Snoop he definitely a suspect, bro. That's me. And listen to me. Everybody got, suspect from the death row count. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. Let's see. Figure this shit out. He playing video games, and let me see what he's talking about.
Snoop Dogg is the reason why Tupac was on Death Row Records.
Talk about it.
That's not.
Well,
that's
I
not
told
it.
Suge, I'm like, after we did the Source Awards.
That was a lie.
Because we did the Source Awards, and we had a Tupac cut up. If you look at that award show that night, when Suge said what he said, and I said what I said. When we performed that night, we had a billboard cutout of Tupac in one of those cells. We all came out of cells. So in our minds, we was like, Tupac need to be with us. So I told Suge, I'm like, I'm hearing stories about Cuz in jail. So you need to go get him and bring him with us. Because he need to be with us. He like our kind of nigga, he my friend. Suge didn't know Cuz, he was my friend.
Right.
So Suge went and cut the deal and got him out. And who did he come to when he got out? He came to me and Daz. That's why Daz laced him up with all them hits in the beginning. He came straight to my house in Claremont. Used to go to court with me every day, jump in the back of the Rolls Royce with me. Snoop.
Man, listen to me though. So now, so look at this. Snoop claimed that he asked to get Pac out of jail, right? Pac in jail, fucked up. They at the Source Awards. They doing Snoop on Top of the World with the Doggy Dog album, as we just heard, and everybody knew that was born back in that time. Snoop, of course, Snoop albums, hit was, I think, did better than All Eyes on Me in record sales the first week, not overall, but maybe the first week or so, like that, couple of weeks. Y'all can look that up. But now Snoop, this big star, Tupac come home from jail, and they kind of pushed Snoop to the back, as you heard dude said. You know what I mean? Which everybody knew. You know what I mean? Again, I was born in, 1996. I was 20. So, Snoop shit was out there. Everybody was fucking with Snoop. But when Pac came, kind of pushed Snoop shit to the back. And then his next album flopped. The Dog, out there, Doggy Style or some shit. Dog Father. Because he wasn't getting they wasn't paying a lot of attention or putting the money in Snoop projects and videos the way they be doing Pac shit. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, okay, man, we good. Step to the back. So, okay, that's cool. So, they do, go back and watch the videos. Two of them, when they did the video, two of them, go on the Bomb first and look at the Tupac Snoop video. Bomb first. B-O-M-B first. And yeah, so when Tupac they were doing the gangster party, him and Snoop. And Pop was trying to talk to Snoop, and Snoop was like just looking the other way. Like, I'm like, Snoop taller than him, so he was like just looking like over him, like, I don't hear nobody. Who is here? Who here? And he wasn't really fucking with Pop like that. Clearly, you can see it. Even read the comments, they were like, damn, Snoop looking like he kind of like not fucking with Pop. And then when Pop spun off, and Dash and Nate Dogg, and you know what I'm saying, all the people corrupt was talking to Snoop. Snoop laughing, giggling, shaking hands, hugging him. Yeah, cuz, hey boy, that be, you know what I mean, like homie type shit. And then Pac came back over there, and he came with the same energy. I've been peeped that shit. I'm like, damn, hold on, bro, what's up with this? That's one incident. Two, they was in the studio, which is video out here, and Pac was in there, and he was working on, I guess, he playing something off, I think, All Eyes on Me shit. And so what ended up happening was, it was some females in there. And I ain't talking about the one when he had on, the one that I played in the video earlier, but it was a different video. And Snoop was in there, and he was just like, you could just see him in a chair. He was mad. He wasn't smiling. It was just like, man, I'm tired of this dude. Like, it's like this nigga came over, and I'm not getting the recognition that I got. Now, prior to that, remember he fell out with Dre, and we understand that him and Dre, Snoop and Dre was like that. You know what I'm talking about? We already know that. Dre brought him in. Pac got to calling him gay and this and that. Got the bad mouthing him. So now Snoop go turn around, and Snoop like, he ain't got no problem with Biggie after the choir shooting. And so from that point, Pac turned everybody that was at death row against Snoop. So now ain't nobody rolling with Snoop. Pac the biggest star over there. Man, y'all fuck with Snoop, don't even say shit to me. I'm not fucking with y'all. Fuck dude. Here, op. If y'all fuck with him, don't fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? Stay the fuck away from me. And of course, Pac rolling with Suge, who throw the order, who cut the check. So of course they like, well shit, Snoop, that's an artist, man. At this point, like, you gotta understand, once you get around a motherfucker for so long, you look at him like a regular person versus somebody else might look at him. So if I'm hanging out with Tupac every day, when I first hang out with him, I'm like, damn, I'm with Pac. Oh shit. But 7-8 months into that shit, you used to seeing him. He coming over your house, it's like, okay, he cool, and y'all can be outside, and a whole bunch of people might come up, run up to him. To him, that's your homie. But to everybody else, they starstruck. You understand? So now, the people at death row, it's like they just looking at, like it's just like, okay, you know, these motherfuckers that we see all day, every day. They drop an album, you gonna get your fans, your groupies or whatever, but you know, arguments happen, beefs happen, a lot of shit was going on. They saying at some point death row was, what I'm saying, damn near divided. You had Snoop camp and you had, Sugar camp. And, and so it's like, of course, Snoop album's not being worked on, clearly. Now, Tupac turned everybody against Snoop. So it's like, remember, Snoop said he'd get on a plane and goddamn it, he couldn't even goddamn it, like he was scared. Because they told him that, couldn't nobody ride back with him. And so, he got the knife and sat back. And if any motherfucker came, he gonna be shanking a motherfucker. You know what I'm talking about? So, it is right here. Let me see something. Let me see if I can get this in.
And then when they want to go, they go on their own.
What was your relationship like with Big?
Biggie was my homeboy, and I mean, he was a real friend of mine. Like, I remember early on, when we used to come out here, he used to hang out with us. They used to ride in limos with us. We used to go smoke, chill, the whole nine. When he made that record, the last record he made, he played a song for me. I went to the studio with him, and he was like, I want you to hear this song. He was working with 10 Crack Commandments in this room with Preem, and he took me to another room, and he played this song. I'm dreaming of little jets and mansions and coupes and trying to sell records like Snoop. Oops. He played that record for me in front of all his homeboys. When the record went off, I was like, cuz, you killed that. He's like, I just want to give you some love, man, and let you hear this. But his perspective, you could just tell that he wasn't tripping. He wanted the world to know, I love Snoop Dogg. Mm-hmm. Snoop Dogg loves me. Mm-hmm. Because I had already put it on the line that I loved him. Mm-hmm. But he could never come back and say, I love Snoop, because he had to stay in his lane because Pac was on him so tough. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So when he expressed that on that song, that let me know that our friendship was going to always be there no matter what. And I seen him again when he had got his legs. I guess he got in a car accident or something.
Yeah.
I seen him in Atlanta. This is right after Pac got killed. And he was in the hotel. And I seen C's. I'm like, where he at, cuz? He's like, he upstairs. I'm like, let me holler at him. He's like, hold on. Because, they didn't know what was going on. Yeah. They was, checking the temperature. So I went up there with him. We kicked it for about an hour strong. And he's like, man, I love Pac, man. I don't know why. So we just was having that intimate conversation about how he never hated Tupac. Yeah. How he loved Tupac. But this is just me and him in a private room, smoking, chopping up game. He had his little walker with him. Mm-hmm. We chopped it up for about an hour. I rolled out, and that was the last time I seen him.
Wow. Ironically enough, Pac introduced me to Biggie.
Oh, wow.
That's how I first met Biggie, at the Palladium here in New York.
Are you serious?
I swear. Pac said, swear, I want you to meet this dude. He's dope, blah, blah, blah. And they got on stage and performed together. Mm. And I always wondered how much of that beef was real, or was it?
I think it was real because Biggie probably couldn't tell him what he wanted to hear. Pac was the kind of person that's like, right. He all in. He with you. So there's so many words that Biggie knew, or if somebody from Biggie's camp knew Pac had got shot or who shot him or who robbed him, Pac felt, tell me that. And when they didn't tell him that, even if they did or didn't know, that just turned it all bad. Because where we come from, if you know I'm finna get shot, robbed, or jacked, and you don't say nothing, you're a part of it. So that was his emotions. But me personally, I knew C's and Puffy and Biggie and all them. I don't think they set him up. I think it was some situations that caused that, and they couldn't prevent that. Mm-hmm. And it was nothing that they could do. So it's like it puts both of them in a twist because it's like, y'all my homeboys, y'all let me get shot and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, really, what could they do? You may have created that situation.
Yeah. Snoop Lion is here.
Wow.
And I'm glad you're shedding some light on this. You're reincarnated now.
Yes, sir.
I always want to ask you, what's the last time you saw Pac? This is my last back in the day question until we talk again. When last time you saw him, and where was you the day he was shot in Vegas?
Now listen.
Wow, the last time I saw him, he was laying in the bed, holding on to his last breath. Man.
Well, I had seen him before that because we left New York.
Mm-hmm.
We had just left New York. I had got off the radio station with Angie Martinez, and that's when me and him like clashed because she asked me on the air, how do you feel about Puffy and Biggie? Mm-hmm. And I said what I felt. Them my homeboys, I love them. When I got back to the hotel, it was a whole nother atmosphere. Like, he sent his homeboy up to get the bud from me as opposed to him coming to get it. Mutar came and got the bud. Pop on some bud. Well, hold on. Tell him to come up here. He ain't coming up here. Give me the bud. I'm going to take it to him. So I felt funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then my uncle said something about, they downstairs talking and blah, blah, blah. So when we got on the plane to go back to L.A. the next day, Suge didn't let none of my security ride with me. I had to ride on the plane with him, his homies, and Pop. And it was the most uncomfortable ride I ever had in my life because my nigga didn't say nothing to me the whole ride. And that's a 5-hour flight on a private plane.
Yeah.
So I walk up to him like maybe 3 hours into the flight, sit next to him, I'm like, you going to Vegas, guys? And he turned on me like this and started talking to somebody else. So I'm like, all right. So I go in the back, put the blanket on my head, knife in my hand, fork in my hand, and just sleep the rest of the ride. Because I feel like they finna try to do something to me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get off the plane, we land, he walk out, I got a Rolls Royce, he got a Rolls Royce. He walked down the steps, I walk down the steps. We meet right here. I'm like, cuz, you going to Vegas? He do me like this. Went his way and he went my way. Next time I get a call, niggas like, turn on the news, cuz. I'm at Warren G house. We turn on the news, we see yellow tape, Suge, BMW.
Mm-hmm.
Call Suge, he like, yeah, they white people, come on out here now. Drive out there, I see him in the bed, laid up, no words, no conversation. I see Jesse Jackson, his mama. His mama pulled me to the side. She make me feel like a real player, because she tell me, my baby loved you, and I love you. And she just held me real tight, and she just said a prayer with me. And I know I went there, I hollered at him for about 20 minutes, and I went in the bathroom, I fainted, I threw up. I just was like, I was gone. Like, because me and my homie wasn't straight. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not even going to be able to apologize to him, or even just to tell him, I feel you, I'm wrong or whatever. We never got that day, and that's the way it ended with me and him, to where he passed away, and I never got a chance to, apologize or even just tell him, what is it? How can we fix this?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, y'all, that's horse shit. You know what I'm talking about. That's his say. For real. Let me see something. That nigga had about too many different stories. Don't know motherfucker believe none of that shit. Let's see.
I think we was playing a video game. We kept getting a whole bunch of calls and pages.
Yeah.
Somebody told us to turn on the news, and we turned the news on, and we seen the little shit. I drove down there to the hospital because I wanted to see my nigga, you know what I'm saying, make sure he was straight. I'm thinking that he was gonna make it. I said a little prayer to him in his head and held his hand and whispered at him, said my piece with him. He didn't have no consciousness, but I felt like my spirit and his spirit connected, and I felt like he got it.
Right.
I think we was playing a video game, and we kept getting a whole bunch of calls and pages.
Well, see, he didn't say that, you know what I'm saying? He said he was at Warren G house. You feel me? Like, that man just been lying his ass off. Here it is. It's another
right after I heard Tupac got shot, I immediately flew to Vegas, and I walked in the room and I seen him.
He said he drove to Vegas on the other one. He said he drove to Vegas on the other one. Now he flew to Vegas. You understand? Listen.
I think we was playing a video game. We kept getting a whole bunch of calls and pages. Somebody told us to turn on the news, and we turned the news on, and we seen the little shit. I drove down there to the hospital.
Right. He drove to the hospital. Now listen. First off, he drove down to the hospital. Listen to this one.
Right after I heard Tupac got shot, I immediately flew to Vegas, and I walked in the room, and I seen him laid out on the bed with all kind of tubes and shit in him, and I was so weak, I damn near fell over. And his mom came over to me, and she grabbed me, and she held me up, and she said, baby, you got to be strong. And I went and sat next to him, and I was whispering to him, telling him I loved him, and to hold on, and he was going to be okay.
Man, listen to me, man. That man tell all these stories. For real. That nigga been lying.
And Pac shot at more than 2 cops. Pac shot at some dudes that tried to run down on him.
You think that was his first time shooting? You ain't never see footage of him in the range?
Wow.
Most niggas.
Man, listen to me, boy. So, that was what? 3 different stories? Let me see.
What was you and Pac's relationship prior to his passing?
I say a week before he died, we was best of friends. 2 days before he died, I don't think he liked me. Why? Because we was in New York, and shit had happened. New York shot at me and did all kind of shit to me, like, and I forgave him. And when did an interview and was asked, how do I feel about Puffy and Biggie? And I was like, I like them. I want to do some music. And I just rubbed Cuz the wrong way, like, it tried to kill me. You tell me what you want to do a song with him. I wasn't thinking about his emotions. I was thinking about the way I felt at the time. They was our friends. We was all friends at one point. There's video footage of all of us hanging out. Pac, Biggie, Puff, Suge, all of us together. That to me, I never seen myself getting involved.
But see, I mean, it just, I don't know, man. It sounds crazy.
Right after I heard Tupac got...
Like, you know, he had too many...
So normally I got 2 security with me that fly on a private plane. What is Suge got his homies, Pac got his security. We get to the private plane, and Suge like, they can't go.
Your security.
They can't go. Security like, all right, well, come on with us, dog. I'm like, nah. I'm gonna stay there. I'm riding with them. Like, this either the moment you niggas gonna kill me, but we're gonna get some clarity in this air. We got a 5.5 hour flight.
Fuck out of here.
I ain't got no security.
He was
You
scared
niggas ain't feeling me right now. So I sit down, and I'm like, they still don't say nothing to me. Now we finna take off. I'm like, all right, I see what's finna happen. I've been around these niggas. I know how they get down. I grab me a knife and a fork, get my blanket, 5.5 hours like this. Sit in the back of the plane, all the way in the back. I'm the last seat. So, nigga, if somebody gonna get killed, nigga, if I'm gonna get killed, somebody dying.
Now you trying to play some tough shit. But at first you said you went over there, sat down and talked to him. He won't fucking with you. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I see what it is. All right, cool, fuck it. Like, come on, man. Like, stop lying so much, man. Like, that nigga just been lying his ass off. Now he trying to make it look like, man, it's gonna go down, it's going down. Hey, I know what y'all niggas on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stop it, dude. You know? Like, you got too many stories. You drove to Vegas, you did that. You know, it's just a lot of lies that he's been telling. And with that, you know what I'm saying, he need to be looked at. He definitely need to be looked at. Trade Snoop Dogg in old prison interview shooting. You know, a lot of people been talking about Snoop Dogg, man. Like, that just kind of went over y'all head. You know what I'm talking about. And it's just, you know, a lot of shit that people is overlooking. You know, let me see. Let me see if I can get one more. Let's see. 1 second. You can't get flying and driving messed up. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, you can't. So if you do, let me see something. Let me see. Yeah. Let me see. Let me look for some on the internet. Let me see. Yes. Vegas to definitely didn't drive. I can tell you that in the dough. Let's see. It say to drive from Vegas to LA, you might be able to do it in 3.5 hours. Okay. I don't think he drove down there. You know what I'm saying? Then he said he flew down there. You ain't just don't catch a flight right away. Flights take time. You know, like, I don't know. Hold on for a second. Let me try. Let me see some. Let me see. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm about to wrap this interview up. Let me see if I can wrap this shit up. Hold on.
There's no dream of making an album with Biggie and Puffy or none of them. We're not sweating it like that.
This is our
we
family.
We peacefully coexist right now because we all cool. Everybody's here. They sell records. We sell records. Well, I guess you could call that selling records. What they do. We sell large amounts of records, and they sell a few records. And really, it's no competition.
He was so sarcastic. I can give him. If he loved you, he loved you. If he hated you, he hated you. Wasn't no in between, wasn't no cut.
And that's the thing about him. You know what I'm saying? Snoop. Let me see. Who?
This is the story of Biggie after Tupac gets killed, calling Snoop Dogg to New York to come see him. Come to the studio to come see me. I go see him, and he got about 40 with him. And they smoking on some bull. So I put my weed down. We spit a smoke some real. We smoking the real. He like, yo, I want to play you. Like, I want you to hear it. Rappers don't do that in this era. Especially in that moment. In that era, we didn't do that. Yeah. So, I'm like, what you want to play? He tell the engineer, pull it. This is his album before he gets killed. Come on, track, come on. And he sang, like Snoop.
He plays you the verse where he says your name.
Yes. I look at it. Oh.
I don't know, man. I don't know. This shit crazy. I just don't trust dude. I don't know, man. I can't trust dude, bro. It's too much shit going on. You know, with Dez and then, you know, with Snoop, Pac turning Death Row against Snoop. You know, it's like, nigga, I got you out of jail. Your ass still be in jail if it wasn't up for me. You know what I'm saying? And then you get out of jail, you come here.
What happened was
you come here and you shit on my shit. Let me see.
Snoop Dogg is the reason why Tupac was on Death Row record.
That's definitely not the case. And we already confirmed that a female set that up with Suge Knight. Snoop had nothing to do with that.
Say something to Tupac. And Tupac like, nigga, you ain't even supposed to be talking to me, nigga. And Corrupt like, nigga, what? They back and forth, and then nigga Tupac tell Corrupt, nigga, you ain't even on my level. Nigga, I had an outlaw's deal with you. That nigga Nate Dogg stepped up and said, what the fuck I'm gonna be doing when that's happening? And shit got shitty fast. Like, Tupac and them started like squaring up. And MC Hammer tried to jump in. Like, the niggas was like, MC Hammer? He was part of the crew. Then nigga Suge come in. Yeah, knock this shit out. What y'all niggas tripping off for? Man, we all family and whoop de whoop, nigga. And then niggas started laughing and it was over with. Corrupt say something.
Man, like, again, it was beef and they count. It was beef and they count. Real talk. And motherfuckers know that. You know what I'm saying? So Snoop, you know, and you know, Snoop and Pac had a lot of beef leading up to Pac death. So regardless of what's going on, never rule out Snoop. You know, man, don't rule out Snoop, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of shit happened, and whatever happened within the camp. Happened within the camp. You heard about Pac coming in on the interview. You know what I'm saying? And look at it all.
Prophet muscle. What was you and Pac's relationship prior to his passing?
Man, I say a week before he died, we was...
What you mean? You playing both sides here, Snoop?
The music was. And I just rubbed Cuz the wrong way, like...
There's a lot of people doing interviews.
Trying to
This
kill
got a
me.
million. This got a million and
Shot
five
at you.
views.
You talking about you want to do a song with them? I wasn't thinking about his emotions. I was thinking about the way I felt at the time.
What you mean you playing both sides?
Like, we was in New York doing the award show and laughing, and my hair perm. He got me this Hugo Boss suit and had me on some European shit. My pants was fitting tight, and he had a nigga on some other shit. Like, nigga, let me dress you, nigga, get you right. Suit by Dion Scott. I'm on some other end. And when I see him, Jesse Jackson, his mom, and all to me. Well, we out of town, and niggas is drinking.
Listen.
Corrupt got Hennessy, Nate.
Listen.
The Outlaws, Tupac. We on the beach, Hammer, all of us out there chilling. He just put the law in effect that don't nobody whoop up, whatever the fuck say, all right, yeah, whatever, nigga. I ain't even told my niggas that, though. Because I'm not military minded, so I'm got to tell niggas.
We got a new order.
Yeah, y'all forgot to tell y'all. I'm going to tell you later. So, the motherfucker on the beach, and Pac and Corrupt get into it. Like, get into it. Like, get into it. Not physical, but get into it, like, to where they talking. And then Pac say some shit like, nigga, you not, he looked at me, he was like, this Corrupt right there. Nigga, you not even supposed to be talking to me. And I'm like, and the Corrupt said something, nigga, something. And looked at Corrupt and said, I'll get the Outlaws to f you up right now. And Nate Dogg, and then right behind Tupac, Nate Dogg said, and what the f we supposed to do when that's happening? And then Pac looked at Nate, he looked at me, and he like, nigga, I thought we had a, I'm like, Nick, you trying to, yeah, man. So now it's unorganized confusion now. So then Hammer step in. Hey, man, and the Suge step in, man. But from that day on, it was like,
how did you get, where are you when you find out that Pac was shot, Snoop?
At Warren G's house. Me and Warren G was, I think we was playing a video game at Warren G's house. And pages was blowing up and the phones was blowing up. They was like, put it on the news. We put it on the news. And we seen Suge, car, and the yellow tape. So, made the phone call. I called Suge personally. That nigga answered the phone. And the way he was talking, it was like Pac was gonna live. He like, yeah, they just, they grazed me in the head. He my nigga, all right, he been up, you know what I'm saying? He down right now, but he been up and man, come on out here, dog. So I jumped right on the highway. And the Hummer. And go out there to see him. And when I see him, Jesse Jackson, his mama and all them there, and his mama, she pulled me to the side, and he laid up. And I just get right on the side of his head and just start talking to him in his ear. Just talking to him. I don't even know what I was saying, but it was something to the effect of, like, I love you, and I hope I didn't make you mad from the shit I did. I just thought I was doing what was right, and it was some other shit, cuz. And as soon as I walked out of there, I went in the bathroom, and I threw up. Just laid on the floor for like 30 minutes. His mama came in there and cleaned me up. His mama came in there and cleaned me up and got me back right. Like, I'm like, she is a hell of a lady, man. Yeah.
Man, listen to me, man. I get so tired of listening to these Snoop lies, bro. You know what I mean? Clearly, his camp and Tupac camp had problems. Not saying that Snoop killed Pac or had something to do with it, but there was a lot of shit out there back in the day of Snoop cousin Half Dead. If y'all never heard of Half Dead, Half Dead was supposed to be a name that came up that killed Tupac, had something to do with Tupac shooting. But yeah, hold on for a sec. And that's, we know Half Dead is Snoop cousin, because again, him and, what this say? Let me read this shit.
The most massive mystery in rap history has finally been solved. Who killed Tupac and who ordered the hit? His murder has sparked intense debates and absurd conspiracy theories, but after decades of being locked out, we have our answer, and we have Detective Greg Kading to thank. Greg worked as the lead investigator on Tupac's home.
Boy,
The most massive mystery in rap history has finally been solved. Who killed Tupac and who ordered the hit? His murder has sparked intense debates and absurd conspiracy theories, but after decades of being locked out, we have our answer, and we have Detective Greg Kading to thank. Greg worked as the lead investigator on Tupac's homicide.
Violence that had been taking place between members of Bad Boy Records and their Trip Entourage, and then the members of Death Row Records and their Blood Entourage.
According to Greg, the man who pulled the trigger was a member of Pac's rival Compton Crips.
Orlando Anderson is absolutely, positively the murderer of Tupac Shakur.
But Suge Knight said he wasn't. And see, that's the thing. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. You know, listen to, hold on, let me play this Suge Knight interview real quick. Let me see. He just did this a couple of weeks ago. Let me see. Let me see. Here.
Tell me what your reaction is to the arrest of Keefe D.
Well, surprise number one, because I didn't think Keefe D would never get arrested. Nor do I want to see him get arrested. You know, let's get one thing straight. First and foremost, you know, me and Keefe D played on the same Pop Warner football team. And whatever the circumstances, if he had an involvement with anything, if he didn't have any involvement with anything, who want to see? I wouldn't wish somebody going to prison on my worst enemy.
The DA says that Keefe D was in the car with his nephew, and that presumably his nephew, according to the DA, is the one that shot Tupac, and that it was done with the full knowledge of Keefe. Do they have it right?
There was only two people in the car. And Pac not going to tell the story. I ain't going to tell the story, but I tell you this. I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because, number one, he wasn't the shooter. Number two, he came to my hearing and told to let me go and tell the truth. They still didn't let me go.
If you are called to testify in this case?
I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Well, number one, because I'm not going to get on the stand and testify on somebody for what?
They seem to be saying that Orlando was the shooter and Keefe was in on it, that he had full knowledge of what was going down, and it was revenge for Orlando getting beaten up by Tupac and his team at the MGM after the Tyson fight. Is that correct?
No.
Then who shot Tupac?
It wasn't Anderson, so that's all I got to say about that point.
To summarize, you are saying Orlando was not the shooter, although you won't say who the shooter was. You are not saying whether Keefe was involved in any way in the shooting. And you are saying that if you're called to testify by either side, you will not comply. You will not testify. Do I have that right?
1,000%. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't testify. None of it.
I'm going to say it. Rest my case down. Again, Keefe D run his fucking mouth. Orlando wasn't the shooter. I played the interview earlier. I'm just giving y'all a lot of shit, man. So, you know, just stop. You know, sometimes you need to do your due diligence and go back to, you know, that's why in the first 48, they said he got 48 hours to solve a case because that's when the most information can come out. You understand what I'm saying? So, though with that being said, I'm going to just kind of, you know, sit back and, you know, we going to wait till more shit come out. You know what I mean? As far as with Puffy was scared of Death Row. So, yeah, he did hire Keefe D and the Crips for protection. But, you know, as far as him, you know, he probably could have said something like put a head on Pac, but it wasn't no, like, mandatory thing. Like, hey, we got to get this nigga. Cause, hell, they wasn't seeing each other like that much. Shit, one of them was in L.A., the other motherfucker was in New York. Like, come on, man. What's that? goddamn it, day and a half, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, that wasn't nothing that he was too worried about. To like, hell, nigga, you stay around the corner, we got to get this nigga. Come on, man, y'all in two different towns, no social media, so it's like, I see you when I see you. Might see you at the awards or bump into you at a concert or something, but it wasn't like we gonna see you, on a recurring occasion. So the beef wasn't like that back in '96. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they had beef on record. You know what I'm talking about? But it wasn't to the point to where, man, this dude gotta die. That was not the vibe back in '96, y'all. That was not the vibe. Social media couldn't get into it. The media wasn't into it. You know what I mean? Pac would drop a record. Remember, when motherfuckers drop records, them records came out like every 9 months or something. Wasn't no YouTube shit to where you can drop a record, then fuck it, by the morning you had a diss record written. Wasn't the case. You have to wait on a record to come out in order, you know what I'm saying, to respond to a beef. Or you might can go publicly and say some shit on air on an interview. A lot of people did radios and shit. Like, that's how he was able to hear that shit on the radio, Andrew Martinez or whatever. Snoop saying he had no problem with her. So, you know what I mean? I'm just going to break it down like nobody else broke it down because, the shit was done sloppy. I sit back and I listen and I get tired of hearing, people come and they just running their mouth when a lot of motherfuckers wasn't even born back then. And if they was born, they was too young to remember I was 20. Shit, 20. So I remember everything. Like it was fucking yesterday. No details left out. I remember every fucking thing. That's something that you just cannot forget. And like I say, Snoop temperature was different then. He was really a bitch. So a lot of stories of him being bitch. How he had to come to when he went out to Long Beach and all that. How when he was the coach of the football team, how he had to come give back. You know what I'm saying? And, so he come back and get to the neighborhood. The motherfucker was extorting them, boy. He was, he was paying dues. Like, a lot of people say some things now, but at first he was scared. He tried to talk to Pac. There was like, and I played the interview where he went to go sit down with Pac, and Pac turned his head. Then they got off the plane. He said something. Pac, like, in other words, like, man, get the hell. You know how motherfuckers like, boy, bye. You know how they wave their hand? That's what Pac did. Man, bye, get the fuck out of here, and walked off. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, man, I was in the back of the plane, like, got a fork and a knife, and I put my cup on my head. Then you hear another interview, you know what I'm saying, like, later on, 10 years later, man, Joe, it's like, man, no, my security like, you ride with us. I'm like, no, cuz, no, I ain't this move. I know what the fuck it is. Y'all go ahead. I'm cool. He got on the plane, and he went back in the back. He got his fork and his knife. It's going to go down. Come on, man. You just told two different stories. That's why I played the interviews, bro. So don't listen to this dude that's a fucking liar. Don't be listening to this clown, Joe. And I like Snoop records. I don't like him as... I like his records. If a motherfucker make some good music, hey, you a whole ass nigga, I don't fuck with you, but you got some shit, I'll fuck with it. But you as a, person or, how you work, I don't fuck with him. So, in other words, but man, yeah, Joe, I'm gonna leave it, I'm gonna leave y'all, to, if anybody want to just, like, hear more shit about Pac, follow Bum First. Bun First, that's Reggie Wright, or follow the Art of Dialogue. That's Art. Art doing 300,000-400,000 views. He killing. That nigga doing 300,000-500,000 views. He done got his shit up. The Art of Dialogue. DIALO, I want to say UGE. Yep, it's DIALOGUE. The Art of Dialogue. He out there killing. That nigga doing 200,000-400,000 every episode. Or you can watch Bomb First, Reggie Wright, BOMB First. And Reggie Wright, we do so much lying. We just heard what was going on with him. They need to have his ass. If you tell me to put my last dollar on a motherfucker that was really behind it, because even you heard the bodyguard say, hell, Suge didn't know about that motherfucker not carrying their gas. Though I don't know if that's to be true, because if that's the case, you put Suge's life in danger. But you know, I'm not, you know, maybe that could be said, but Reggie Wright wasn't gonna make a move and make a bold move like that without Suge notification. That's all I can tell you. Like, nigga, you got my motherfucking artist killed, nigga, we finna kill you. Wasn't no motherfucker making no moves without Suge back in them days, bro. And then, you know, I'm gonna do a part 2 on this because there's some more shit that wasn't said. There's some shit that was done and that was said after Pop was killed and motherfuckers coming in, and there's inside shit going on as far as with the interviews that should have motherfuckers come in, Frank and everybody in there around the table in the death row room with the red room or some shit. And he said motherfuckers acting weird, like don't do this, don't do that. And he got the phone call that Pac was dead, and he was like, damn, can't nobody save him now. And he's like, everything was weird. He was trying to say something, talk, and the shit was weird than a motherfucker, man. You know, really, let me see. It was really weird, very fucking weird. But let me see something. It was very fucking weird. But again, I don't know if they took that down. But that was some shit that was turned around. He was telling some stories back then, right after Pac got killed. And I think this could be it before the wait. Let me see something. Let me try to. I ain't gonna play a lot of this shit. I'm just gonna give y'all a little bit of it. Let me see something. Can't go? Because, you know, this was Frank. I think this was it before the wake. Let me see.
Touch bases with the Make-A-Wish Foundation
I think this was
people.
it.
We went back to the hotel. A bunch of phone calls were made. We left New York the next day, got all of the artists out of there that night. The next day, we're back in LA. I get a phone call from Reggie and said, Suge want to see you.
Right.
So my next day at the studio was going to be that Monday. I get to the studio that Monday, and Suge says, hey, Frank, what happened in New York? Calls me into his office. I go in, I talk to him, I told him exactly what happened with the whole scenario surrounding the shooting. Then he said, well, you know, everybody is calling you a hero. I was like, oh, really? He was like, yeah. He was like, good job, man, good job. Reggie had assigned several different people to Tupac. I was one of them. Kevin, prior to this, we were never told prior to September the 7th to leave our weapons anywhere. They swung. Then the guy swung back, and then Pac weaved, and then Pac around the strip. We're going down the strip.
Detectives working that night became aware of who was involved as a victim.
Trying to get to it, y'all.
What, you know, the member.
Officers responding had to us.
From Reggie, the shooting, the night after the shooting. I was in my hotel room. I got a phone call from Reggie telling me to come over to Suge's house. I go over to Suge's house, and everyone is there. Everyone is there, and everybody's tripping. You know, there's not a whole lot of conversation going on, but you know, everybody is just like in disbelief that it happened.
This right after the shooting, y'all. Right after the shooting. This Frank Alexander, Tupac, personal bodyguard, that say Pac did a lot for him and his family. Who ended up dead? They say he did a suicide. Bullshit, but whatever.
You know, Suge, you know, eventually called me into his office at his house. And he goes, Frank, I want to talk to you. I go into the office with him, and we're talking, and he goes, Frank, what happened? I was like, Suge. I go, first, why did we go down the strip when it was so crowded? I go, I would have turned on Tropicana and went the back way.
And he said, yeah, I know that way too. He goes, but I wanted to go the other way. I have to follow him, so I can't turn and, lose him. That was our conversation, and we just basically went over everything that had happened, how it happened, and what I had seen, and, what he knew, and the events. We reacted the events with one another in private.
Because he's trying to get on the same page, in other words, because the police going to be asking questions.
I started digging deep.
I went home. I told Reggie I needed to go home because I needed a change of clothes. I needed clothes because we were going to be there for the rest of the week. So Reggie said, okay, go ahead. We'll get your flight out, and he goes, come back tomorrow. And I said, that's no problem. I said, I just need to go home and get some clothes and get some more stuff. So he goes, okay, no problem. I went home, prepared myself, got everything I needed. The next day comes. It's September the 12th. I go to my hotel room. I check in. I tell Reggie I'm back. Reggie says, okay, stick around because Suge is going to want to see you tonight. I said, okay. So, I just hung out that day. The nighttime comes. I get a phone call. Reggie goes, be at Suge's at 9 o'clock. I go, okay. I go over to Suge's house. It's 9 o'clock at night, September the 12th. And no one was there. It was just Reggie and Suge. Reggie meets me at the front door, and he goes, hey, Suge is really upset. He goes, he's really hot-tempered right now. He goes, if he says something to you or something like that, don't worry about it. He probably really doesn't mean it. I was like, all right. I said, I'm cool. So we go, and he goes, we're going to go out by the pool. I said, okay. We go sit down by the pool.
Now, this is the infamous red pool.
It wasn't red. It was the pool had the Death Row emblem painted on the bottom of the pool, which had recently been done, and the light shining on it was a red light, and the bottom of the pool was red, basically. And, Suge is sitting on his back to the pool. I'm facing him, so I'm looking directly at the pool. Reggie is sitting to my right. Suge starts talking to me. He was like, Frank, the detectives are going to want to talk to you tomorrow. They're going to want to talk to you, blase, blase.
Right.
He goes, just remember everything that happened and, just let them know, basically. So I'm like, all right, so we talked a little bit more conversation. And then he says to me, he goes, I know you love pot. I said, yeah. He goes, I love them too. I was like, I know. He was like, this is just bad. It was bad. I go, I know. That conversation and that meeting was way different from the night of the shooting to the next day when I met him at his house.
Right.
So now I'm thinking what's going on? I started feeling kind of strange. I had an eeriness come through my whole body right there.
Gangster rap star Tupac Shakur underwent.
See, and that's the thing. It was two different, they say, is that what I'm saying? It was two different, the night he got shot, shit was different.
Listening to their music. We get to Flamingo off of Las Vegas Strip. We got to turn right. We make a right off of the Strip. The next light is Colville. Little did we know that anything was about to happen. We pull up to the light. I am the second car. Actually, I'm the third car. One of Suge's homeboys was in front of Suge, which never, ever happened with anyone being in front of Suge.
Right.
Then another one of his homeboys, Trevon, was to the left of Suge, which would have been to his side of the car. So you got Trevon to the left, you have K-Dub in the front, and you have me in the back. And we're sitting at this light. September, it's hot, sticky. We're all just sitting there pretty much just vegging out, waiting on the light to change. Then all of a sudden, I noticed this white Cadillac. Cadillac pulls up, and it was not like a thought of mine that something was about to happen, because in the entourage, as we're proceeding to go to Club 662, women are like, yo, Pac, Suge, and can we go? Groupies and things like that. So it was not anything out of the ordinary for this car to be pulling up, thinking that something's going to happen. And as soon as the car pulled up, my head turned back, and I'm looking. I'm watching the car. Malcolm, who is sitting in the seat behind Yak Fula. Yak Fula was in a passenger seat with me up in the front.
Who's there?
And Kay, who's Kay Castro, was directly behind me. Before the Cadillac pulled up, we're all just vegging. They're looking out toward the right. Cadillac pulls up. We notice it. Then all of a sudden, this arm comes out. An arm comes out. And he just started firing immediately. I'm like, oh my God. And all you see and all you hear is...
This Dodge truck was Suge's car, and the next vehicle, if one were to come up, would be my car, where I was at. The Cadillac rolled up right alongside of where this Dodge truck is. That Dodge truck representing the BMW, that is where the arm came out and fired into the car. The white Toyota Camry right there would be me. That would be me, and the rest of the cars would be the entourage. The rest of these cars on this corner, they weren't here. The Cadillac rolled up, shot into the car, and took off and made a right on Coble right here. There was no traffic right here. These were open lanes.
And all you see is the smoke. And I just like, oh my God. And I opened up the door and I jumped out and I ran up to the back of the BMW. As I got up to the back of the BMW, as soon as I got to the trunk, I'm thinking, they're dead. There's absolutely no way in the world that these two guys are alive. The car takes off and does a U-turn. I run back to the car, hop in the car, and I busted a U-turn also. And here we are now going back to the strip, going back, because Suge, I'm assuming, thinking he's going to a hospital, trying to get Tupac to cops or ambulance, emergency services, whatever, would be on the strip.
This corner that we're standing on right here now, this is Las Vegas Boulevard and Harmon. After the shooting that took place on Flamingo and Nicovo, Suge did a U-turn. When he did that U-turn, he came back on the Las Vegas Boulevard. When he came back on the Las Vegas Boulevard, he was going south. He got to Harmon. He took a left turn. By that time, the car broke down in this area right here. Actually, right there, just before that light.
Actually, we were kind of pretty far down the street when it happened. We didn't know if we heard gunshots, or we didn't really know exactly what we heard. We heard a lot of screaming, a lot of cars screeching. We were just hanging out, taking photos at the time. We ran up the street as cops were running past us, and by the time we got here, they were already taking, which now I found out was Tupac, into the helicopter away. He had been shot.
For a living, I'm selling. I didn't think it was going to be.
I'm a homicide.
So they were there. The ambulance, the paramedics, I would say, were immediately there as well because they had gotten a call. Had they been 2 or 3 minutes late, he would have died right there. They had Suge out of the vehicle on the ground, laying on the ground. And as I was approaching him, the blood was shooting up out of his head, right? So I'm yelling, let him up, let him up. He's with us. He was part of the entourage. So the cops go, who are you? I go, I'm the bodyguard. I go, out.
See, his story ain't changed in these different interviews. Like everybody else's story changed, and his story stayed the same.
I was with them. I'm the bodyguard. I go, he's a victim here. So they let him up. And when they let him up, Tupac is still sitting in the passenger seat. The door is still closed. The paramedics are over there trying to open the door along with the police. They can't get the door open.
Right.
So Suge says, I can do it. It's my car. I'll open it. The door was actually stuck. So Suge got over there, opened the door, and we pulled Pac out of the car. When we pulled him out of the car, we lied him down on the side of the car, and I'm kneeling down at this time, and I'm talking to him like, Pac, man, Pac. And he's like, he's trying to breathe. And then he goes, I can't breathe.
This first-hand information on right after the murder. Don't listen to the 30-year later theory. Listen to what happened days after the murder. to put you back in the mindset of what was going on back then. Because there's a lot of bullshit stories out here, and that shit making me sick. Real, for real.
The witness.
Officers responding.
So let me see something.
From Reggie telling me to come over to Suge's house.
I think I did this one already. Hold on.
September the 12th. Go to my hotel room. I check in.
I think I did this one here.
A Friday. Okay. September the 13th, 1996 fell on a Friday. My shift started with Tupac at 8 o'clock that morning. Prior to my shift starting, Reggie told me to stay away from the family. He goes, they're really angry at you. I go, why are they angry at me? He goes, because, her son is laying up in the hospital dying. And I'm thinking, okay, right? So now I'm thinking, I can't talk to Yasmin, who is Tupac's assistant at Euthanasia.
Right.
And I can't talk to, we called her Mama Shakur. I couldn't talk to Afeni. So now I'm thinking, oh, great, right? So basically, that whole day, was trying to avoid them. Ironically, when Reggie had told me that before I got into the hospital, I pull up, a van pulls up behind me, and it's Afeni and her sister, Gloria. They get out, and they walk into the hospital. I let them go in front of me. They go toward the back. I walk right behind them, and I go in there. I, relieve the other guy that was on, and Pac's still landing there, right? I'm sitting there in the chair outside the room, and Afeni and her sister, they're standing inside there with Pac, looking at him. Then a doctor comes, which was his doctor. The doctor comes and goes into the room with Tupac and Afeni and Gloria, and they go out of the room into the room right next door. And the door's open, and, they're sitting down. The doctor sits down, Afeni or either Glow, one of them, they sit on the floor, and the other one was sitting next to the doctor, and they're talking. And I'm watching them the whole time, right? And I see the facial expressions, and I'm like, oh, no. And I'm sitting there, man, and I'm just like falling apart inside. Then Afeni walks out, and she sat down next to me. And when she sat next to me, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. She sat next to me, and I put my hand on her hand, and she said, it's okay, Frank. That was the last time that I spoke to her. Little did I know, Pac was dying, and she had gotten his news to make a decision. The day goes on. There's a zillion people coming by to, see Tupac. Actually, Snoop came that day. Snoop came, and my other homeboys was with him, Marcus and Kenna. And a lot of celebrities, a lot of people showing up, right? So my shift is getting close to ending. It's probably about 3 o'clock. The next two guys came on. And, I'm just like hanging around the hospital a little bit. And I get a phone call, and it's Reggie. And Reggie says, get over to Suge's now. Right now. Then all of a sudden, my pager starts blowing up. I'm getting 50 phone calls from people from, death row saying, get to Suge, hurry up, it's an emergency, get to Suge. Suge needs you right now. It's a meeting, get there. So finally, and then I get a phone call from my homeboy, Larry. And then I go over to Suge's, I get there. Reggie meets me outside. There's a zillion cars at Suge's driveway, right? Reggie meets me outside, and he goes, look. He goes, I don't know what's going to happen. He goes, but just go along with it and be real cool about it. He goes, I'm right here. He goes, it's bad, real bad. So now at this point, I'm like crying on the inside, like, what? So I go sit down again at the pool. But this time, there's several people at the table. There's Suge, David Kenner, his attorney. There was another gentleman, I don't remember his name, and then two of Suge's homeboys, and then Reggie. And Reggie basically is standing behind me, right? And I'm sitting next to Suge, and I do mean next to Suge, right? And Suge is hot. He's mad. And little did I know that Tupac was dying. And this is the reason for this atmosphere right now. Suge is asking me all kind of questions about what happened, security, where was your gun, security this and security that. And I'm sitting there and I feel like, oh shit, I'm taking the heat. So I look at Reggie like, these are security questions. You need to answer these questions. So Reggie wasn't answering them. So I said, Shuck, I go, I don't own Right Way Security. I work for Reggie. I go, there should have been more security with us. I go, I had already asked you and told you that we needed more bodyguards on Pac. I go, I asked for more security. I go, he goes, well, what happened to Michael Moore? He was with you that day. I said, he was called to go back over to 662. And every answer I gave Suge was answers that Reggie should have been giving Suge or Suge should have known. So then Suge says to me, he goes, no, I'm sorry, he says to Reggie, he goes, Reg, he goes, what's up? You know, what was the breakdown in security? And Reggie's like, well, and Al was a supervisor, and now here's the finger being pointed again. So I'm sitting there still, and then all of a sudden the phone rings, right? Suge gets the phone, he had the phone, he answers the phone, and he stands up, and he throws the phone, bang, right across the table, right? I'm like, oh shit. I looked at the pool, and I go, I'm going for a swim. That's just how I felt. He turns around, and he says, can nobody fucking save him now? And he's in tears, right? And he goes, he just died. And I just start crying, right? As I'm crying, and I'm just like, Suge walks away. Everybody at the table just gets up, and everybody walks away. Reggie looks at me, and he goes, go, he goes, go pack your shit, get out of Vegas. And I'm thinking, why?
Right. See the whole thing, Reggie trying to make it look like Frank was out of order. But it's looking like he did not know that there was no guns on deck. It seemed like I don't know, man. It's tricky because I think it's good cop, bad cop to throw Alexander off. Good cop, bad cop, because like he should have been saying something to Reggie if Reggie right there. This got to be a good cop, bad cop thing. They both inspired on it. You got your lawyers over there to make sure that, remember David Kenner's the lawyer. The same motherfucking, what's dude name who shot Megan Stack? Just went to jail. Dude goofy ass. But it's the same lawyer that he tried to hire to get off for shooting Megan Stallion. So y'all got lawyers and everything over there to make sure that paperwork, you sign that over, Pac dead, you know what I'm saying? Well, let's get these masters. That's really the whole setup. So now we need to get Frank over there, because Frank be running his mouth. Frank be telling the truth. So now Reggie like, look, get the fuck out of here. Now, pack your shit, go. In other words, nigga, you fired. Don't be gone. I don't want to see or hear from you anymore. You know what I'm saying? Good cop, bad cop shit. You can just clear the head. Good cop, bad cop. In that situation.
Word of his death brought legions of followers. Police have yet to identify any suspects, and now Shakur has died before detectives could even try to speak to him.
Shook my respect for Tupac, brother.
It's just a lot of shit that goes on, man. Like, y'all gotta understand, like, when this shit happened, the case was so out there that everybody pretty much remember the details. Well, people from that era.
I mean, eulogy was the characteristic mode of his rap.
This shit here though, but again, them interviews that Frank did, was crucial.
There are a number of inconsistent.
You know, yeah, the interview Frank gave was crucial. We heard Michael Moore interviews, but, you know, listen.
On someone and be sitting next to him with the bullets flying all through the car like it speak for what I have seen or what I have witnessed with my own eyes. I did not directly say not one of the things that I read in the Rolling Stone article, me being quoted as saying. I didn't say those things. I stated in my book, Got Your Back, that I saw no reason why anyone would sit in a vehicle or next to anyone that they would put a hit on someone and be sitting next to them with the bullets flying all through the car like it did that night. Suge was a target as well as Tupac was. I stick by that. I said that in my book. Why would I put in Rolling Stone magazine or this detective pool?
The magazine is not going to die. He said it, and Death Row got at his ass and made some threats, and now he's trying to clean it up to make it look like that's what they put out there. But he definitely said it because all through here you can kind of see where his interviews, he was saying like, man, look within the Death Row camp. Him and Michael Moore was talking. So they both came up that conclusion. Now he want to change it because, you know, Death Row paid his ass a visit, which he's dead now.
As he said, I said these things. Why would have I told him these things when I didn't even put it in my own book? It would have gone in my book before it would go in Rolling Stone magazine. I'm shocked that Rolling Stone magazine would even print something like that without checking secondary source. They could have gotten a hold of me through my publisher. I never said that Suge Knight was one of the shrewdest gangsters. Suge personally never did anything to me. He treated security very well, as I've stated before. There was no beef with anyone in security with Suge Knight. Never. I've been interviewed by the FBI. I've been interviewed by, obviously, the Las Vegas homicide detectives, by the LAPD. Why would I have said that Suge had Biggie killed? I was no longer working for Death Row Records. I have no idea why Biggie was killed or who killed Biggie.
Do you have an idea why Tupac was killed?
No, I don't.
Bah. So at this point, you understand, like, he had all the answers earlier, but motherfucker paid him a visit. Like, bro, you doing too much talking, bro. You gonna end up in a motherfucking casket. So I suggest when you start doing these interviews, you clean that shit up, bro. And that's pretty much what happened with dude. And he ended up dead, I think, after the interviews, maybe a year later or something. Like, motherfuckers got him out the way, like, bro, you doing too much talking. You making books, you doing this, you doing that. Saying, just like Obama, chef, trying to make a book after he seen some shit that go in the White House, found his ass floating in the ocean. I mean, in the pool. So, I mean, you know, I'm going to leave it at that, man. You know, I gave y'all more than, y'all don't have to do shit but sit back and listen to this video and hear me out and hear the interviews and hear from the horse's mouth itself to make y'all theory. You know what I mean? So who's really at fault? So we know the key players in it. You know what I mean? But if you're going to ask me and I'm going to give you my final thoughts, Reggie Wright and Suge set that up. They both snakes. Remember, Reggie Wright went to jail for selling a drug bust. He went to the feds. Reggie Wright Jr. went to the feds for a drug bust. So we already know he was crooked. You know what I'm saying? Let me give you this. Let me see. When the fuck did he go? How much time he do? Let me see. Arrested drug trafficking charge along with the son. Former officer Reggie Wright Jr. from Compton Police, that also CEO. How much time did he? Let me see. In June 17, he was indicted. So yeah, they indicted him. How long? I think he did what? 3 years or something. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, Reggie Wright Jr. going to prison for 3 years for marijuana sales. Again, yeah, like I said, he went to the feds already. So, come on, man. This dude been a crook. So, you know, the killing of... Listen to me. I'm done. I said what I said. Y'all can listen to these interviews that people talking now, trying to get clout. But what I just gave you was fresh meat during the time of the Tupac murder. Because remember, they didn't have YouTube, so a lot of this stuff was on DVDs. So we were watching DVDs when this stuff was hitting. You know, I believe VCR tapes or something, DVDs. There wasn't no social media back in 96, 97. That haven't hit yet. Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. It wasn't none of that. So a lot of this stuff came out. I was watching on DVDs. You know what I'm talking about? Because you can kind of see the way the film and, you know, audio was. So I'm giving it to you fresh. You're not gonna get no better breakdown and direct story from what I just gave you. The source that I gave you, start looking there. Don't look 30 years later when motherfuckers trying to get clout after thinking the coast is clear and they trying to make money and take the hit for something that they're not a part of. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of theories out there. I'm gonna sign off now, but what I am gonna do, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna watch this Keefy D and we're gonna see the names that's coming out. But I'm gonna drop this video so when shit do happen, y'all gonna look at it and be like, man, dude told you so. Watch out for Puff, watch out for Reggie Wright, watch out for Snoop Dogg, and watch out for Suge. Something gonna transpire real soon. Something gonna transpire real soon. And with that, I'ma close. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all share, like the video, because I'm back, baby. I'm back making content. And you know, I'm never gonna make a video this long, but for the pot, that's something you couldn't just sum up in 20, 30, 40 minutes. That's gonna take time of preparation. So you can understand, listen, and hear and get the real story behind what happened on after Pac died, not 30 years later. You know what I mean? So people can get an idea of what it was like in 1996, what was being said, what was going on. Okay, so I'm out, man. Y'all take care. Cash App is Cole Radio, COLE Radio, RADIO. And again, you know, I'm back to my
shit
regular
just
content.
crashed. We just got out of court when we leave court. Shit
Everybody
just
got
crashed.
can and support.
We jump out. It's gonna be police.
I appreciate
Police laying down in blood right here. Police laying down in blood right here. The homies just did that. Daz, Nate, Sight, and Bogart. That's who they see. And that's who they see coming out the car. You don't see them shooting or nothing. That's done. Only thing you see is them standing. Like, first part you see is just us. You just see us doing the performance part. Then after we finish the performance, at the end of the at the end of our lyrics for Gangsta Party, when it's just going over, like, yeah, West Coast, that's when the car pull up. They all get out the car. Where's he at? Jumping in the car, they got all the money, the drinks, champagne, all that shit. Like, yeah, the homies is out, the police is all laying down there. So that's what we're gonna do. What's up, Jeff? Man, sorry to hear about your loss, man. You know, niggas hurt, so yeah. We'll get you another one. Yeah, I heard you got a couple more though. Wow. Huh? Wow. It's probably the change you get about 20 minutes. Ooh. Hey, that's because he's gonna lose that camera. You put that on a steady cam for you. Wow, what can we do right now? Well, we could do the shot. It's set up for the shot. The exit with those over there, and then we can go back and do performance. Performance could be walking this way. Why we can't do that? Why we can't do this exact setup, just performance? Well, that camera is useless for performance because it's too far away. We won't get shit. We won't see you doing anything. We want that one to do the slow motion shit. We can do that. Let me see. Because the performance don't start till after like 8 bars. Brotherhood. That's the spot. I'm too hip to just hop. My dog's fighting. Let me get a picture with my dog people. Come on in, nigga. You know you got a good dog. I'm gonna give you a discount because I'm gonna fix that motherfucker for you. Hey, I'm so happy you love me. No, that's my boy. That's a bad motherfucker. No, I just talking about he's bad. But he just need to be fixed up. You gotta give me another one. You see how hard it's going. Okay. First, man. Fuck y'all. gotta get my props on. It's gonna take 30 minutes. Joe Brown, slave on. That's it.
Then you were like, that nigga's a kid. I know, see, that's we get tired of bitches. Wow.
It's gonna be straight. Instead of y'all been pulling up in it, y'all just in the limo. The limo doors open. Y'all niggas get out with the champagne and the drinks. Like, what's up? What's up? We just coming out the paddy wagon and shit. The explosion, the police there. Niggas got us from the sniper spot. But you know you can't time that shit. We gotta do that once every hour. Niggas don't want to wait 15 minutes. As soon as it's about to be the train time, first nigga told me I got to pee. Hold on, nigga. Wow.